Hey there, cats and kittens. Welcome to Crossover Attack, episode 22. I'm Eric Freshley from Freshley Stream Games, joined as always by Hunter Davenport.
Howdy ho.
And we got a guest here today, Hunter.
We do. We do have a guest.
We're joined by our new friend here, SamuraiKibiji. I've practiced on pronouncing that a couple times to myself. Did I get it?
To be honest, I did not know how to pronounce that.
That's really, I'm sorry, but this is a bummer. You said it wrong.
Oh, no!
I practiced saying it out loud, and you said it wrong.
Come on, man.
How was it spelled? You said Kijb. How was it spelled? How was it spelled?
Now I'm self-conscious about it.
It's Kibiji. It's on screen here on this.
Well, all right.
So there's no G or J in the middle.
In fairness,
my buddies.
Since I stream consoles, my PC's across the room. I can't see it in front of me very well.
Oh, okay. No, my buddies from the Gaming Duo podcast, Rob, he does the same thing sometimes, and I'm like, Rob, I've been on the show multiple times. Man. Why is this happening? It's on screen. There's a K, a B, and then a J. There's no J or G in the middle. He does the same exact thing.
K, J, B. All right, got it.
I think you should keep this in. I think it's fun. Unless you're self-conscious of it.
We don't cut anything. So, yeah, it's
perfect.
No.
My embarrassment and all.
I practice saying it.
No.
I'm just teasing you, man. I think it's funny.
I'm through. Real quick, so housekeeping right off the bat. If you didn't notice, I uploaded a short video on our YouTube and put it on our podcast feeds too. My day job recently screwed up my schedule, so our normal cadence of podcasts is going to be thrown into disarray. We're going to do the best we can to record whenever we can, but it's going to be tough for a little while, and sorry, everybody. Samurai, why don't you tell us a little bit about your channel and everything, and kind of who you are, what's your... I don't know. Just talk. Talk about yourself.
It is it's good to be here. My name is Mr. SamuraiKibiji, and also known as Tony. People know me.
You're pronouncing that wrong.
And, yeah. Or some people nickname me Keebs. People say that sometimes. Excuse me if I burp there.
That's easy.
And yeah, I just I am somebody that has a motto: "Be geek, be proud, be awesome," which is. Like, I just love people geeking out about the things that they love and being proud of what they love, and eventually that leads them to living an awesome life, you know? And that's kind of been my motto for a long time, and I've recently kind of figured out, you know, I'm just super into people openly speculating things that they're passionate about, and my thing that I'm passionate about is games. And when we speculate on things that we're passionate about, that is one of the best ways to self-express yourself, in my opinion. So that is what I am here today to do, to speculate about this week's gaming news and just things we're playing and stuff with you guys. And if you want more gaming speculation, then you can head to my channel, SamuraiKibiji, Kibiji. I'm spelling that because it's a weird name, so it's not a slack on you. It's a weird name. So yeah, Kibiji, folks. So look that up, and if you like anime, you can look up West Side Otaku. So, yeah.
Hunter likes anime.
I do like anime. So.
Yeah, just finished up Attack on Titan last night, man. Just finished it up last night.
Oh hell yeah, man!
I actually, when I reached out to some people, kind of just, hey, you got questions for the three of us? Most people basically wanted to know what you thought about the Attack on Titan finale.
That's funny. I was curious if you actually got any questions. That's funny. Yeah,
I was the only one, honestly.
That's funny. That's a little bit of a bummer to me, man, because I'm like, I'm happy to answer anything. How about just this one thing?
We don't have much reach yet, but we're working on it.
No, do I answer that now or later?
Yeah, you can answer it now, sure.
Yeah.
It just, I thought as a finale, I literally said, like, as long as this doesn't suck, I think Attack on Titan is going to be one of the all-time greats. It really is. And we haven't had that since, I feel, Full Alchemist Brotherhood. And it didn't suck. The ending did not suck. It did what the rest of the series does, which is it made me want to rewatch the whole thing. Like, the second you get answers, you have like 5 other questions. That's how Attack on Titan works. And I thought the finale kind of introduced all these other new questions. And I can't be more specific, but like I thought it was a very epic fight, very, very climactic. I thought it felt super climactic. The production went super hard. and it was emotional, super, like, I appreciate endings that aren't super squeaky clean, and I won't say if I was disappointed or not on that front, but I just was really satisfied with it, man. So, and being satisfied with it, that makes me feel great about the show all around, because it was already fantastic up to that point. So I was pretty cool with it.
Excellent. Hunter, did you watch it?
I am not caught up,
Okay.
so I gotta get to that.
I'm not an anime guy at all. How many seasons did it end up going? I've heard of this one. Obviously, it's one of the few that I've at least have some knowledge of. But
It's kind of complicated because
Okay.
there's technically 4 seasons, but this final season got split up into like variable parts, which is weird. Like,
Gotcha.
I really wish they didn't do it that way.
There's a lot of subtitles for this final
Yes,
season. Like,
yes.
it's
There's
like
part 1, part 2, and then the
part
final
1.
chapters, basically. The final
Yeah.
chapters of the final season. Yeah. So, yeah, but it's collectively like 3 and then 1 big final one, kind of a thing. Yeah.
excellent. Well, let's go ahead and get into our big topic, I suppose, here, and that is the Game Awards. There's always a lot of heat when these nominations get announced, but this year, there's a lot of fire out there.
So much.
It's kind of expected, I guess, with this many good releases this year. I think in terms of releases, it's probably the best damn year that I can remember. I know I hesitate to say the best year in gaming, considering, like, there's two halves of it. There's the releases, which, yes, but then there's kind of the conditions of layoffs and everything. Like, that's maybe the worst year in gaming on that front. But in terms of releases, like, obviously a lot of games people are passionate about, and that's got people big mad at a lot of these nominations. Even though I think, like, why can't I bring up this list? I think as far as Game of the Year goes, there were 5 locks, and then the 6th spot, which ended up being Resident Evil, was a wild card to me. But, like, I thought the other 5, there was no way none of those were going to get nominated. Let me, if you didn't see, I'm
Say it again? You thought everything but Resident Evil would not get nominated?
No,
What'd you
would
say?
get nominated. I think there was no way those 5 were not going to be in there.
Oh.
They were locked.
Yeah.
I totally misheard that. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah.
I'm trying to. I'm talking while I'm trying to pull this up, and maybe I'm not talking clearly. There it is. There's the list. Okay. It was, as far as Game of the Year goes, we'll go through, I'm not going to go every single category, but we'll go through a couple of these and talk about basically what you think is going to win, and also any snubs or thoughts or just kind of general whatever you want to mention about it. Starting at the top, Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Spider-Man, Resident Evil 4, as mentioned, and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Big snubs, and people are mad about Starfield, right? The Xbox tax and all that. Hunter, you're the biggest Starfield fan I know. Are you mad about this?
I'm not mad about it. I love Starfield. I think it's one of my favorite games of all time, if I'm being honest. I really love that game.
Wow, nice.
And I understand why it's not here though.
Yeah.
I do. It's got some issues for sure.
Yeah.
The only snub for Starfield I'll say is it's not nominated for the soundtrack or the score. Like that music is so good and it's just not there at all.
Yeah.
I'm 100% with you on the score. Like, totally. Because the score for that game, like, well, I didn't think it was like the best score ever. It felt iconic, I guess is the word I'm going to say. Like it felt like it had an identity that wasn't just like being a good score. It actually felt like they wanted to make it sound like, I don't know, John Williams or something worked on it. And it had a style to it that made it stand out. And that was probably, to me, the only category I was like, why is that not there?
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, it's just like, I don't understand why they wouldn't do it. Because it's just such a thoughtful and well done piece of music for a lot of that stuff.
What would you have swapped out, you think, if
honestly, I'm not sure, because I'll be honest, those are strong contenders.
I made a case for Tears of the Kingdom. Like, I'd probably swap that out. But I totally get it. You're like, no.
I'm as far as like my personal game of the year, I can't decide between Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate. Those are my top 2. And I'm having.
But strictly speaking, soundtrack. Strictly speaking, soundtrack.
Oh, I'm sorry. I still thought we were talking about game of the year. I'm sorry.
Oh no. Yeah. No. Yeah. No. Hell no. Don't take Tears of the Kingdom out of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one, it would probably be Zelda as well, because like
Yeah.
I feel like Breath of the Wild is the better soundtrack for Zelda.
Yeah, I agree. Kind of, yeah. Still good, but yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
As far as game of the year goes, Starfield is the one people are talking about. There's some people are talking about Hogwarts. Some people are talking about Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen Hi-Fi Rush in there. Honestly, as far as like Xbox games, people talk about the Xbox tax. I think Hi-Fi Rush had a better chance than Starfield. Neither one ended up making it.
Yeah.
But any other I don't know. Is there anything in this list you think you would rather not be there? For me, it's RE4. I'll tell you that right now.
That's what it is for me, and I just want to say I totally agree on the Hi-Fi Rush thing, because Hi-Fi Rush was a more critically acclaimed game, but Starfield was the more mainstream game, so it's like, which one do you pick? But
absolutely.
And I'm with you on the RE4 thing, because so I just came off of a show kind of saying this, so there's gonna be a lot of things I'm kind of restating, but it's totally fine. But the way I put it there is, I totally get people disagreeing with this. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with RE4 remake being eligible.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think the weird part of it is just choosing it specifically in 2023. Because there's so many other choices that you could have gone for between potentially Hi-Fi Rush or Starfield, between Diablo 4, between Final Fantasy 16, so on and so forth, between Hogwarts Legacy. Like, there's so many potential. There was another indie game I've never even heard of, not Dave the Diver or anything. It's nominated. Like, it's literally not in any of the nominees. But I'm like, that's one of the highest reviewed games of the year. How come that wasn't nominated?
Is it
and
Videoverse?
RE4 remake got picked. So, what'd you say?
I was looking at the Open Critic list of best reviewed games.
Yeah, like Videoverse.
Yeah, Videoverse. I've never heard of it either, but
that's
it's super high up there.
Exactly. So that's what I mean. It's like, I don't know. Like, just in a year like this, I thought that was kind of the weird choice, personally.
Yeah. I agree.
Oh, and Mario Wonder. I'm a little bit on the fence about Mario Wonder, but not like against it. But yeah.
It feels really soon for me.
Well, I mean,
like,
it has to be, right? Like,
yeah.
The awards are in December, and the big games usually come out in October, November.
That's nothing against it, because like I really love Alan Wake 2, as I'll talk about it when we get to it. But like, and that came out like a couple weeks ago. Like, it's just, for me, it feels weird to have these like really recent games.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, Mario, and Alan Wake all came out within like 2 weeks of each other.
The past month. Yeah.
Mario Wonder is one of my contenders. I don't think it's going to win at the awards, but just on my personal list, I friggin' love Mario Wonder a lot.
Dope.
RE4, I completely agree. Like, that a remake should be eligible. All right, here's my hot take that's going to get everyone mad at me. But look, I'm not a survival horror game guy. I tried RE4 on the GameCube. I never thought it was as good as a lot of people think it is. That's just me. That's just me.
Wow.
I
just casually shitting on one of the best games ever made.
Like, it always rates high on
but
those
there's
lists,
a difference. He's not saying it sucks. He's just saying he didn't like resonate with it. But
Yeah, I get it.
It's not as great as you're all making it seem to be. Yeah.
I mean, hey, I'm sure there's a lot of games that would rate high on my list that people would think I'm crazy for.
Sure.
Like, I think my favorite game of all time is Monster Hunter World, and a lot of people want to smack me when I say that, but
I don't think that's that crazy, honestly.
What's going to win here? Baldur's Gate, right?
Yeah. No, it's Baldur's Gate. I think that's the game that's going to win.
Yeah.
You look like you disagree.
I don't disagree. I think it'll probably be Baldur's Gate. I think so. But I definitely think Tears of the Kingdom is the easy runner-up. Like, easy runner-up.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
And in that vein, I think it's tough because, like, they could easily both walk away with game direction and game of the year for very equal reasons. But, like, game direction specifically, both those games did something. Like, Zelda did one of my favorite things a video game can ever do, which is trust a player. Trust the player to do whatever the hell you want. We're going to give you the tools, to give you the basics of those tools. But from there on, this is kind of your experience. Like, go about it however you want to. And that's something that I relish when a game does, instead of kind of telling you all these places that you can go and what to do, and that's something I appreciate that Tears of the Kingdom like upgraded from Breath of the Wild for direction. And then the Baldur's Gate thing, like, this is a game that they literally refused to release. They early accessed it to hell and made sure it was exactly what they wanted, and they kept letting people play it and whatever until it was ready to go. And upon release, there's no microtransactions, there's no expansion, there's no like all these things. It was just a complete game because they crafted it that way and they let their fans be a part of doing that. And I think like those are the two reasons why, like, if either of those games took game direction, I'd be happy. But I kind of would feel bad if they both, like, that winner also got Game of the Year. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
When Baldur's Gate came out, we talked a lot on this podcast how there's a lot of similarities between Baldur's Gate and Zelda from a wide angle lens about how they are just so open, and they both just have. They're both so.
And they feel finished. They feel finished.
No, they feel finished, but
Yep.
Just in terms of how much choice there is on the players, as opposed to a lot of these, the Sony style of game. No disrespect, just not my style normally. Where it is sometimes feels like you're on a roller coaster of their making. Baldur's Gate and Zelda are like you're in control. You have all the options in the world. You do what you want to do, and I love that. That's my style of game. And Starfield's that way too. Just maybe not on that tier.
Yeah.
When you get through the loading screen.
What's up?
When you get through the loading screen.
Yeah. We just talked about direction a little bit. It's the same list of nominees, just minus Resident Evil. And yeah, I agree. I would like to see between Baldur's Gate and Zelda, whichever one doesn't win Game of the Year. And I know.
Do you think there's a weak link here for direction? Do you think there's a weak link here for direction?
Well, I have not played either Spider-Man or Alan Wake.
Okay.
So between the three I've played, no. Wonder is, I guess in terms of gameplay, it's not that different from Mario's Past, but the art style and just the vibe of the game is so refreshing compared to like the new Super Mario Brothers style that I think I would still leave it on there. But
I think Spider-Man 2 would probably be my weak link here.
Okay.
I think it's fine being there, but there's a part of me that wanted Cocoon on this list because I think that game was super freaking crazy with what it was doing in terms of game design specifically. And I was like, I know it's not going to be game direction, but I'd be kind of stoked if it was.
I know. From what I've seen, Cocoon's on my list to play actually probably over my Christmas break. And I know it's real short, so I should knock it out pretty quick. Even though
it is very short, yeah.
I get stumped at puzzle games often. Cocoon,
you probably won't want to play it then. You'll get stuck. I promise you, you'll get stuck.
I'm not afraid to look up a guide when I need to, but I want to give it a try for sure. But yeah, it does just seem so outside the box, and especially from a debut game from that studio. I know they have experience being ex-Playdead people, but not as that team. Yeah, I wouldn't certainly wouldn't have minded that being on there. Hunter, you played Spider-Man. Do you think it belongs on there?
I think I kind of agree that it's kind of the weakest one out of all of them.
Yeah.
I don't think it's bad.
And I literally
game
say
direction.
that the weakest. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Sure.
It's just the other games, they're a little bit more better directed, I'd say.
Yeah, but plus what I know of Spider-Man, and since you guys played it, tell me if I'm wrong, it does follow that Sony formula, and even the Spider-Man formula.
Kinda.
They've done 2 of these games already, and I don't think that doesn't do much to break away from that necessarily. It just does it really, really well, right?
It's very safe, I'd call it, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, if Cocoon was on there instead of Spider-Man, I wouldn't be crying at all. Narrative, Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Phantom Liberty, which actually I should have mentioned. I thought Phantom Liberty actually had a chance to be on the Game of the Year list, but that didn't happen either. Final Fantasy 16 and Spider-Man 2. Again, I think this is going to be Baldur's Gate. Honestly, I think Baldur's Gate's going to win almost everything it's nominated for.
It's going to sweep. There's too many crazy fans.
I vastly disagree with that.
Okay.
You think it'll win over certain things for best multiplayer and for best score? And there was another one I forgot.
Score,
and for
score, probably not.
Probably not. No. Multiplayer, definitely not. I don't see that happening.
See,
You know, like there's some that you really like. You just got to think like the category. Are they going to pick it because it's Baldur's Gate, or are they going to pick it because, oh yeah, Baldur's Gate had the best this specifically.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna. Well, I guess we'll talk about multiplayer later because I do have some thoughts on that.
I do too.
But as far as
I think Alan Wake. I think Alan Wake 2 probably takes
Really?
this one. Maybe. We'll see. But
Hunter, you said Baldur's Gate, right?
I want it to be Cyberpunk. Yeah. I really do.
I wouldn't be shocked because Cyberpunk doesn't have. Well, I guess there's ongoing, which we'll talk about that too.
I don't understand that at all.
We'll get there. But yeah, it doesn't have many other places it could get a trophy here. So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if it's Cyberpunk, but I still think Baldur's Gate. Art direction: Alan Wake 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Legend of Zelda, Lies of P, and Mario Wonder. I would like to see it be Hi-Fi Rush. I wouldn't be shocked if it's Mario Wonder because we talked about how much of a difference it is from that boring new Super Mario Brothers style. That like it is so refreshing compared to what we're used to with Mario. But I think
super great nominees. Great nominees. So yeah.
Yeah. You're a Lies of P fan. Do you think that has a chance here?
No.
Okay. Let's see. We'll skip some of these. Oh, we used to do score and music because we already talked about it, though. Alan Wake, Baldur's Gate, Final Fantasy, Hi-Fi, and Tears of the Kingdom. And yeah, when I read that out loud, now I do kind of think Tears of the Kingdom. I love the main theme, but other than that, yeah, maybe that doesn't quite belong.
Like, it's not a bad score, but just putting it amongst, I think that's the thing that, like, just to talk about with these is because we'll think of the winners potentially later or whatever, but just thinking about the nominees and thinking of, like, what were the 5 best this year?
Yeah.
And when I think of that, I'm like, I think Tears of the Kingdom has a fantastic soundtrack, but I'm just like, there's other things, though, that potentially could be in over it, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So.
I'd really, one that is just not popular enough, but I would have liked to have seen on here is Bomb Rush Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that would have been. I love that music, even though I haven't even played the game yet. But I've listened to the music a whole lot.
It's really.
I have
good.
one. Planet of Lana. I played that game, and I thought that game had a super such a film score that felt like I don't really hear in games. It felt like that was another one that felt like John Williams was behind the whole thing, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Like I really dug that score, so I didn't expect to see it, but I was like, that would have been cool.
I kind of forgot about Planet of Lana until you mentioned it. Now there's some of these indie categories. I'm surprised. Well, those are pretty strong too. Those I don't know.
Yeah.
Audio design. We can skip audio design. I think Hi-Fi Rush, in my opinion. I don't know. Performance though. Idris Elba in Cyberpunk. Oh boy, Melanie Laborde. As we've established, I'm not great with names today. Yuri Lowenthal, Cameron Monaghan in Jedi Survivor, Neil Newbon in as Asterion in Baldur's Gate, and Ben Starr in Final Fantasy.
I've heard a lot of greatness about Ben Starr,
He's
all
great.
year. Yeah. And I think that was the only lock here I knew, and everybody else I was like, oh,
right,
that all makes sense, kind of a thing. I was kind of rooting for Yuri to be on here, but I think this whole thing, I'm like, yeah, this all makes sense. I'm cool with it.
Asterion is not my personal favorite character in Baldur's Gate.
He's not. Everyone's gonna hate me too, but he's not mine either.
I would rather have Shadowheart. I don't know the name of her actress, but whoever plays Shadowheart,
she's great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Obviously, a big celebrity like Idris Elba always has just like a name recognition thing. Some people might just say, "Oh, I know that guy," and click him. But Ben Starr, yeah, I've heard a lot of talk about him, both how great he is, and also like he's really active on Twitter, like with the gaming community. I know he does a lot of stuff with like Giant Bomb, and I think he's done stuff with Kind of Funny. Like he's become everyone's friend. I don't mean that as like a he's sucking up or anything, but I just mean like people like him, right? So that'll I think you're probably right. It'll be Ben Starr, because I also don't see many other places for Final Fantasy to get awarded here.
Yeah, unfortunately, I really
there's
like that game.
one category we'll get to that I'm very shocked it wasn't in, but yeah.
Yeah. I heard you mention that on the other show. Yeah, we'll get to that. Independent game. We just talked about Planet of Lana not being on here. But what is Cocoon, Dave the Diver? Hold on a minute on that one. Dredge, Sea of Stars, and Viewfinder. I completely forgot about Viewfinder, by the way.
Dude, so did I. When I saw the nominees, I was like, oh my god, Viewfinder. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Dave the Diver, though, a lot of controversy here because
Not there.
it's not an indie game, technically. It is Nexon. Is it Nexon or NetEase? Nexon owns the studio, put money into it, and so, it's not an independent game, but it's not the first one to that this has happened to. Like, people call Ori an independent game, and it's not, although I didn't get nominated at the Game Awards, in fairness. But it seems like independent or an indie game at this point has just become like nomenclature for lower budgets, not truly independent. And I don't know,
even a style.
Yeah. Now, is that right or wrong? I don't know. You got a problem with Dave the Diver being on the list? Hunter, I'll go with you, Hunter, first.
Yeah.
I love David Diver. I mean, I don't know. See, my problem is I've only really played Dredge out of this list.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I like that to win because I like Dredge. Like, but none of these are really my style of game other than like the one I played.
It's a strong list, but it's a tough year to make time for indies or to burst through the noise if you're an indie, because just the AAA was so strong. Go ahead.
This is a year like because usually every year, so I'm a big fan of the Game Awards. I watch it every year. I've watched it since 2011 or 2013, and it seems like almost every year there's always just like a random indie game. I say random, but like an indie game that makes its way into Game of the Year.
Yeah.
And I always I appreciate that, but I'm also like, it kind of spoils who's going to win the best indie game category when you put it in a game for a year,
True.
So this was like the first year that I'm like, wow, we finally don't have a Hades, a Celeste, an Inside in here.
Stray.
And a Stray, yeah, exactly. And but the Dave the Diver thing, I don't know, man. It's just one of those situations where, to me, the definition of what is an indie or AA game has gotten so just hard to know. I don't want to say misconstrued it. It's like, no, it's just hard for us to define what that is now. I feel like we can all have all these different definitions, but there isn't like a firm, this is the answer now. Mm-hmm. And Dave the Diver really stretches that one out. So I don't know, but I will say I'm well aware of all 5 of these games, and I haven't played all of them, but I'm super well aware of them, and I'm obviously like I was thrilled to see Cocoon here because I'm so in love with that game and what it was doing, but I legit have respect for all 5 of these games. Like, even though Dave the Diver has controversy behind it, it's still a great game. But
yeah, I don't think anybody's saying it's not a good game or anything. Like,
right.
It got reviewed through the roof and has a lot. I hear a lot of chatter of it just on Twitter and stuff too. People like that game, and it seems great. It's on my list. My list of stuff to play is getting so crazy. I think everyone's is now at this point, right?
Oh yeah.
I think probably Sea of Stars has the best chance here. I know a lot of people were talking about it as if it might get it might be the indie pick for Game of the Year, which didn't happen, but I still think it has the best chance for best indie game.
Yeah.
And then debut indie, similar list: Cocoon and Dredge, both and Viewfinder, all on both lists. But then also Pizza Tower and Venba. I'm not
Pizza Tower, dude. Woo!
Speaking of maybe one that could have got best music and score, that Pizza Tower score is fantastic, or soundtrack, I guess. I would have liked to have seen Pizza Tower in more categories, to be honest with you. That's a fantastic game. Venba, I'm not super familiar with. Either you guys know Venba?
Family
I have
cooking.
no idea what that is.
Yeah, it's a family cooking thing. Like, this is another thing where I haven't played all these. I'm just well aware of, based off word of mouth stuff. And yeah, and I've seen the marketing for Venba. It looked like a good story game kind of a thing. So
I'm gonna group these two together just for a second because there's a lot to talk about here for best ongoing game and best community support. And I think I'm gonna make a separate YouTube short that kind of rants about this a little bit, because I also love the Game Awards. I'm with you on that. But I think one nitpick I have about him here is that the nominating committee of gaming press doesn't do a great job in these two categories specifically, and it's in a way I can't blame them, because like part of their job is they always have to be on the new thing, right? They always have to keep up with the new games. They can't really stay with a lot of these live service games at a time, and so it's always feels like the same 5 games, or at least maybe 4 of the 5 are nominated every year, whether they deserve it or not. Like, did Apex really have a great 2023? I don't think so.
I have no idea.
Honestly, okay, yeah. I don't either, but maybe that's more what I'm based on. I don't hear anybody talking about Apex anymore. Not to say it's not popular. Of course it's popular, but like it doesn't feel on the hot streak that it used to be, and it feels like it's just getting nominated because, hey, this is what we
Apex. Know. Yeah.
I think this year was a huge turnaround for both Halo Infinite and Darktide, Warhammer 40k Darktide. I would have liked to have seen those, especially for community support, maybe even more than Best Ongoing. Warframe feels like it should be on Best Ongoing. Sea of Thieves is getting robbed for Best Ongoing for like 3 years now.
Super, yeah.
And Age of Empires. I don't know. I don't think this is these two categories. And by the way, well, I'll talk about Destiny in a second, but yeah, I don't think they do a great job with these two categories specifically. What do you say? I'll go to Hunter first.
Again, this is not a category I'm super well versed in the games of.
Yeah.
But to me, every year there is like it's a similar thing with Best Fighting Game. Like they'll shoehorn something in that's not really a fighting game, but it's there.
Sifu was last year.
Yeah, it's like I said, I'm not an expert on these, but it does feel to me like they were like, "Oh, I don't play these games, and these are ongoing games that I've heard of, so let's vote for these."
Yeah. What do you think, Keeps?
Yeah, you remembered the Keeps.
It's easier.
Here's the thing. Until there is a DLC category, I think any DLC expansions deserve to be an ongoing. That is my opinion. I don't I agree. as long as there isn't that category. It's like, where else would you put DLC? Do you just not acknowledge it? Right. So I think that easily warrants fitting an ongoing. So I personally feel Cyberpunk probably, at least to me, deserves to be in the ongoing area. Now, because the DLC was fantastic, but the community stuff, that's the part that is just a little bit confusing to me. And I'm with you about like just nominating like Fortnite, Final Fantasy 14, Apex every year kind of a thing. No Man's Sky as well. I think, was that in both or just community? I know that was in community.
Just community.
Okay, yeah. Which it's like, I'm not sure, but it sounds like, yeah, maybe that's warranted, but it just sometimes does feel like we nominate the same games every year, maybe justifiably, but sometimes it's really questionable. And it's like you already pointed out that this year I was super rooting for Infinite for community support. Maybe not ongoing, because a lot of these things, granted, maybe should have been in there from the start.
Sure.
But community support, it's like that game is literally, Halo Infinite is thriving because of its community and the tools that the community has. So it's like, yeah, I would have totally put that one in.
Yeah, and I mentioned a second ago that I'd get back to Destiny. Destiny laid off all their community people, and it's on community support. And that is just insane to me. Even Liana Rupert, who was one of the community people who lost her job there, was just like laughing at Twitter. Boy, I would like to see Remnant 2 in community support as well. Boy, I loved that game. Yeah, and I don't even know if I read these off at all, but ongoing is Apex, Cyberpunk, Final Fantasy, Fortnite, and Genshin. And then community support is Baldur's Gate, Cyberpunk, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14, not 16, and No Man's Sky.
Cyberpunk to me is also weird because they're not working on it anymore. They're making Cyberpunk 2 now.
Right. Like, I actually didn't notice.
Was that in community support though?
I was about to say I didn't notice Cyberpunk's in both. I thought it was just on.
Yeah, it's weird.
Whoa! What?
Yeah, it's very strange.
I did not notice that until I just read that out.
See, and that tells me that like a lot of the votings for these, I don't know, it just kind of like people kind of put them together you know,
Yeah.
but it's like, they're a little bit different. Even though I admit I struggle with different certain things between the two as well. But it's like, no.
I don't know if when he sends out the official ballots out to these outlets, I don't know if there's more description to these. I don't have his website up here. I'm reading these off Wikipedia, but yeah, I agree. They do just feel like actually how many games are repeated here on both lists? Final Fantasy, Cyberpunk. All right, so 2. Yeah, that bums
specifically me out. Final Fantasy 14. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I should say that, not 16.
Yeah.
Mobile game, VR game. That's fine. Best action game. Armored Core. That's actually another one that a lot of people are upset was not Game of the Year. Armored Core 6. Dead Island 2. Ghost Runner 2.
Oh, God.
Hi-Fi Rush and Remnant 2. Yeah, Dead Island 2, like I know it's a good game, but it does stick out like a sore thumb here. I don't know if it's that good.
My literal reaction when I heard this was like, Dead Island 2's come a long way.
Right.
Holy crap, really? You're going to nominate Dead Island 2 over Final Fantasy 16?
Yeah.
What?
Well, Final Fantasy they put in a role play. I don't know if you can get nominated in 2 of these genre awards.
You totally can.
Oh, you can?
Totally.
Oh, well.
Yeah, but maybe people felt bad about doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah. That's the biggest snub to me in this category is Final Fantasy 16. Easily should have been in this category for sure.
Yeah.
Seeing Dead Island 2 in this category makes me a little nauseous, not gonna lie. It does not make me feel good.
It's a better game than anybody expected it to be.
It is.
But
I won't take it away from
but
it.
I don't know
like,
if
at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know if it hangs here. Ghost Runner 2.
I think everything else is fair though.
What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ghost Runner 2.
I think everything else is pretty fair.
Yeah. I won't. Yeah, that's fine. I won't argue with that. But Dead Island 2 is like, man.
I want to say though, did either of you try Ghost Runners 2? It was like a demo.
Yet.
Dude, I tried it. It is a great action game, but boy, is it tough. It is not beginner friendly. Like if you figure it out, you can pull off some of the most badass shit I think I've ever seen in a video game. But it is really difficult to pull it off.
The first game was real tough too. But I did like the first one a lot, so I'm sure I'm going to like this one when I get to it. As much as I would like to see this go to either Hi-Fi or Remnant, it's probably going to go to Armored Core, I think.
Oh yeah.
I think it's deserved.
Yeah, FromSoft's not my bag, but Armored Core does look fantastic.
It's cool as hell.
I love Remnant 2, so I really wish it would get some love somewhere here, but I don't think it's going to happen. Action adventure game: Alan Wake, Zelda, Spider-Man, RE4, and Jedi Survivor.
Yay to Jedi Survivor, dude. I was so worried that it was like I didn't think Jedi Survivor would get nominated for anything. I wasn't expecting that. And I think that game is great. I personally do. And this when I saw it nominated for action adventure, I'm like, dude, frick yeah. I just think it deserves to be there. And there's other things that could have been here too, Hogwarts Legacy and so on. But I think Jedi Survivor, people were complaining about the technical problems that game had at launch, but when you look past it, because that's not the entirety of the game. That's not what the soundtrack is. That's not what the acting is. That's not what the story is. That's not what the combat is. That's not the progression. Blah, 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 blah. That's a part of it. And that game as a complete package was a great action adventure, I thought. And I'm not saying it'll win it, but I was like, great. I'm happy you got nominated in this specific category, because I don't know where else it would have fit, honestly. I really don't.
Yeah.
That and Dead Space Remake are 2 games where I feel like they got lost in a shuffle, and it's really depressing.
Did Dead Space get any nominations? I don't think it did.
Audio design. Okay. Audio design. I think so. Yeah. And and that's just because a lot of them you just think of the category. Sometimes, like we said, Final Fantasy and so on. Certain times it's a miss, but a lot of the times, this makes sense.
Yeah. All the other games in this category besides Jedi are Game of the Year nominees, so I don't think it has much of a chance. But it is good to it's good to see it get its flowers somewhere. All right, also it did also get the actor got in there.
Cameron Monaghan,
and role-playing game, this one also gets a little spicy because of are some of these role-playing or not? But Baldur's Gate, Final Fantasy 16, Lies of P, Sea of Stars, and Starfield. Look,
only nomination Starfield got.
Yeah.
Which I like, thank God, because like it easily should be in the RPG category.
yeah.
Yeah.
Shit, not enough for Octopath, I guess.
Yeah.
That is crazy in itself.
I would have swapped out maybe Final Fantasy or Lies of P for Octopath. I think, yeah.
I would have too, honestly.
Yeah, the thing is, like I mentioned earlier, Monster Hunter World's my favorite game of all time. That one best RPG, that ain't no RPG. So, like, and Lies of P doesn't really seem like an RPG to me either. And Final Fantasy is like more based on, you know, the history of the series. People are always going to call it an RPG. I don't know if I would call this one an RPG.
It just depends on like what you define as an RPG, because it's like, is an RPG the narrative decisions you make affecting the story, or is it you being able to customize a character to play exactly the way that you want to play?
Right.
Like those are both elements that is you role playing. So in Lies of P, you do that. Like I'm currently playing that, and yeah, I have like a technique build that I'm doing. But Spider-Man's not an RPG because you could just kind of upgrade everything and that's the path. But like I am specifically making a build in Lies of P, and in that vein, is Diablo 4 on this list?
No.
Nope.
Hey,
So like
yeah, wow, I didn't think of that.
So in that vein, you know, it's like if the combat is what makes an RPG, would that have been eligible? It's like it's hard. It's kind of like the indie thing. It's hard to like quantify what exactly is an RPG.
Yeah.
Personally, I would like to see Ishin on here, but
yeah.
I wish, but it had no chance.
Yeah, I mean, it is absolutely insane that Octopath is not on this list.
Yeah, that is also one I look at. I'm like, what is going on?
I guess just people didn't play it. Honestly, like, is that still only on Switch, or did they put that on PC?
I think it's on PC. I remember being able to pre-order it on PC.
Wow.
What would you have swapped out for Octopath?
That's a good question, honestly. I gotta go Final Fantasy 16.
Okay.
That's a game. You talked about that on this show. You know, as your path through it, and your first week you were loving that game, and then second week I got to the point where it became a hard Final Fantasy game, which is weird for me because I love Final Fantasy. Yeah.
But I was like, this is when it becomes an actual Final Fantasy game. That's when that game starts to take a turn.
Fighting game, God of Rock. I don't know God of Rock, so that's a new one on me. I looked it up actually when I read this, when I saw this list. It's like a rhythm fighting game, and it seems kind of neat. But there you go. MK1, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2, barely making the cutoff of release there. Pocket Bravery and Street Fighter 6. I'm happy to see Pocket Bravery mentioned here, but this is Street Fighters, right?
Yeah, it's got to be
I mean, at the least, this is just the competition between Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. That at the least we can establish. But yeah, Street Fighter 6, I've heard so much fantastic things. That's literally like one of the highest rated games of the year. So
yeah, that's actually another one that wouldn't be out of place on the Game of the Year list. But just, you know, it's a genre thing.
Yep.
I'll skip that one, but I will do best sim strategy because I think this is actually a more stacked list than usually is. Advanced.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, Advance Wars 1+2, City Skylines, Company of Heroes, Fire Emblem Engage, and my boy, and I know your boy too, Pikmin 4.
Yes,
Pikmin 4. I haven't finished it yet, but I love that friggin' game a lot.
Yeah, you know, and I'm with you. Like this actually of all years, because this category, sim strategy, it's always weird to me. It's kind of always weird, especially them mixing the two. But this year, it actually kind of feels like this actually looks like appropriate. You know, like I pulled it up on screen, just looking at the art of all these and what's nominated, and this actually looks like this is legit. Yeah, all these totally qualify. They all make sense, and I always love seeing a category. Like, we're just debating about what's RPG, but this felt super appropriate. But yes, I'm super happy to see Pikmin 4 here because it's like I was saying earlier, you can't just nominate a game because you want it nominated for things. Like when everybody says like Hogwarts Legacy got robbed, it's like, well, think of the categories though. And that's the way that it's like, did it actually get robbed? But Pikmin 4, I didn't expect to be in any of the categories, even though It's a very well-reviewed game, but it's like, what would it be nominated for? And I thought, other than family, I'm like, one shot is strategy, and it got in.
It did also get nominated, as you mentioned. It did get nominated for Best Family. We skipped over that category, but we should mention Pikmin's in there. Pikmin is in my... Well, I mean, there's still some more stuff I want to play, but right now it's in my top 5 of the year. I wouldn't have been upset if it was in the Game of the Year list, but that was never going to happen, especially with 2 other Nintendo games already there. But it's, in terms of quality, it belongs on that. It's in that tier for sure. And Fire Emblem, I'm a huge fan of the series Fire Emblem. Engage didn't hit as hard as the last one. It's still good, but the last one was significantly better to me. Multiplayer, Baldur's Gate, Diablo, which I think is the only... also, Diablo got accessibility. All right, so not the only thing for Diablo. But Baldur's Gate, Diablo, Party Animals, Street Fighter 6, and Super Mario Wonder.
Is it kind of wild that Super Mario Wonder's on this?
I've heard people say that, and I think it belongs. I think, and maybe I have low expectations because it's Nintendo and the online stuff is not their forte usually, but I think it does unique things. Even when you're not necessarily meaning to play with somebody, how it has their ghosts around. And what it feels like to me, and I think it was Jeff Gerstmann, I think said this first, it feels like the evolution of when we used to have those playground chats with your friends in school and say, hey, did you know you could do this on this game? And you'd say, bullshit.
Right.
But you can leave markers on hidden areas, right? And kind of help people to get there. It doesn't necessarily give away the secret, but it's kind of like a natural hint toward things. And I just think that is such a cool way to do passive multiplayer. And then also there's the active multiplayer.
That's a good way of phrasing it. Passive multiplayer. Yeah.
There's also the active multiplayer. If you just want to play with your buddy and race him, that's a lot of fun too. But the passive stuff is more unique for me. And
it's like it has a presence. That's what it is. It has a presence. Yeah.
Absolutely. Party Animals on this list. I wasn't as in love with Party Animals as I wanted to be. I was really looking forward to it, and
how dare you?
I know. Like,
how dare you?
It's not fun. Like, it's just, obviously, it needs to kind of, I don't want to say bad controls, but sort of. But it almost felt like too bad to me. I don't know. I just wanted a
It's
tiny
absolutely
bit more
derpy. Every time I play that game, like I was pretty excited to actually see it not like it actually got some love, like it's in Family and this, and I feel like I don't remember. I don't think
it
there
is
was
in
a third
Family.
one.
You're right.
Yeah, it's in Family. And to me, it's just always a good time. There's no competitive element to it because, like you said, the controls are dog poo poo. Like they are just poo poo. But it's almost like that's the point of it. And that's why we're not nominating it for anything else. It got nominated for Best Multiplayer because it's like the party game of the year. That's what it is. So, yeah, but definitely doesn't play better than these others. But
no. I mean,
maybe that's not the goal of it.
It's funny. Like Street Fighter has like the most snappy controls imaginable, and Party Animals has the least snappy controls imaginable.
Yeah.
Head up here. Baldur's Gate, I like. I mean, of course, look, I just love the game in general, but I like being in this category because it is the way it accommodates. If 4 people want to play together and they don't necessarily have to have the same motivations. In other words, we can be playing together and I could be doing a total good guy run, making all the good guy choices, and you could be making all the bad guy choices, and like the game accommodates for that. And I just think,
wow, that's cool. I haven't played it, so I'm learning this. That's really cool.
It's really neat. Now, I actually haven't done... I played it on PC solo. When it comes to Xbox, I got a group of 4 that are already going to get playing. There have been CRPGs that have messed with that idea in the mind, like Wasteland 3, but that's only 2 players, but still same idea. But this one, I feel, does it the best. It's a really neat thing. It is, though, the tough thing about a game like this with co-op is you want to... It's not a dip in, dip out. You want to have a group that sticks with it and sticks to a schedule.
Committed.
Which is tough. Yes.
Yeah. That is the Dungeons and Dragons experience.
Exactly.
Too. Like,
that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
This one, for as far as what is actually going to win, is a real tough one for me, though. I think it may end up going to Diablo just for the sake of like, people might think, well, we didn't vote for it anywhere else. But even that, like, it still feels weird to me. Even when now that I say that out loud, I don't like that idea as much.
I think Street Fighter 6 probably. I just feel like that. Yeah.
I'd like to see it be Street Fighter. Hunter, have you played Street Fighter Online? Is the netcode holding up on that? Do you know?
From what I briefly played, it's pretty good.
Okay.
And that lobby system is so good that it kind of makes me wish it wins.
Yeah.
That's the main thing I hear. It's like got one of the best lobby systems ever, and I watch a friend play it a lot. So yeah.
Best adaptation. This is just kind of a
Last of Us. Let's move on.
Yeah, I would love it to be Twisted Metal, but it's not gonna be.
It's gonna be Last of Us.
Yeah, you're right.
There's no way.
And then finally, because we're not going to do the esports one, but we can mention most anticipated game, FF7 Rebirth, Hades 2, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Star Wars Outlaws, and Tekken 8. This list felt weird to me when I first saw it, but I'm trying to think of other games for next year, and like, I guess I can't really think of anything else that isn't necessarily here. Maybe Hellblade, but I don't think that's
that's what I mean. Like, I saw these, and these all feel these all make sense. They just all, this makes sense. I knew for sure Rebirth would be on there, no doubt. Yeah. But the rest I wasn't sure about. I'm like, these are all mainstream, and that makes sense. Yeah.
And I think Rebirth will probably win. For me, mine is Hades 2, but...
Yeah.
All right. That is the... What kind of... How do you feel about the overall list? Like, I think it's pretty strong. I have some nitpicks. We just talked about them, but I like the Game Awards. I don't take it ultra seriously. To me, it's like the MTV Movie Awards more than the Oscars. I love the reveals. I think Jeff does a great job of the show overall. So I have nitpicks. I have qualms, but I feel pretty good about it overall. And when people get too upset, I always remind them this is the award show that picked Last of Us 2 over Hades, so don't take it too seriously.
Yeah.
And then my controversial take I put out there was like, Last of Us 2 totally deserved it.
It's not even about not liking Last of Us 2. I just think Hades is so damn perfect. I love that game.
Yeah. And I was glad it was nominated that year, for sure, because it's like I said, that was the whole indie thing I said before. Hades was that. Like there's always some indie game that makes their way into Game of the Year. This is like the first year that hasn't happened. So, I'm looking forward to it. I think overall I was pretty happy with the nominees. Like literally the only things that like bugged me in any way was just FF16 not being an Action and Infinite in Community. And like there's other things, but it's like and everybody kind of complaining about Starfield like I just go to, sure, there's maybe Xbox tax, whatever, but the thing is that the reviews for that game just didn't compare to so many other games above it, and it's like, is it a bad game? No, it's a really good game, borderline great game, but but the criticisms that were on it were legit, and
I think it would have gotten nominated many years, but.
This year, it was
this year
exactly too many good games.
This year, it's like the whole RE4 thing we said. It's like, that totally deserves to be eligible to be nominated, but it just feels weird that you picked it this year, kind of a thing. Yep. That's the situation, and when I think of that, a lot of these categories make me happy. I'm looking forward to it. I love it.
Should we talk about the Xbox tax at all? To me, like, I don't, if people don't know, there's a lot of anger online, mostly about Starfield, and people saying that, hey, Xbox games get reviewed on different scale and everything. And I do think there's I think there's maybe higher standards for Xbox, but like, if you look at the review scores, most of them, but with the exception of, there's some Redfalls and there's some Minecraft Legends, but like, the review scores do well usually. I do think maybe in award shows like this, they sometimes get overlooked more because of genre than the console. Like Forza Horizon 5 is a Game of the Year quality game, but it's a racing game. That's just not going to happen. Like Street Fighter we talked about, that's a Game of the Year quality game, but it's fighting game, not going to happen. And
Pentiment and Microsoft Flight Sim. both reviewed like 10 out of 10's places, but yep.
Exactly. And the kind of games that Sony makes, even though most of them, that genre's not really my cup of tea, and not all Game of the Year nominees are that genre, but I think that genre does have a leg up. I think if you're a narrative, cinematic, third-person single-player game, you do have an advantage. It's not a guarantee, but it's an advantage. And Microsoft doesn't make many of those.
Hunter had a thought. It looked like he wanted to talk.
So I think people forget that the beginning of this year was pretty rough for Xbox. Honestly, it was not a good time when Redfall was coming out. I think people need to be more patient with them when it comes to like their releases, because they are turning things around. It's a big ship. It's not going to turn on a dime.
Yeah.
There's going to be Starfields, and I'll be honest, there's probably going to be a few bad games too along the way. It's just the way it is. This isn't Sony's. They don't have that sort of clout that they have. So it's going to take a minute for them to get to that level, I think.
Something that's happened with them is, I need to look up if this word is appropriate, but a stigmatism or something, where folks have kind of, and maybe this is the Xbox tax, but I think that there's this mental image that's kind of been engraved in the Xbox brand that's kind of made a bit more critical eye happen to them, kind of a thing. And and I appreciate earlier, you mentioned like Hi-Fi Rush, in my opinion, deserves to be more recognized than Starfield for potentially Game of the Year. And yeah, because Hi-Fi Rush was the highest reviewed Xbox game this year. And but it was super well deserved because that game kicked ass. Like when you said the beginning of the year for Xbox wasn't that good, I'm like, what are you talking about? They kicked off with Hi-Fi Rush and the developer direct. It was dope.
Yeah.
But the more towards the middle of the year. Yeah.
It was a bad summer.
But but sure, yeah. And I think at the end of the day, it's essentially like, I did a whole video about this, not to plug it in, but after Redfall came out, because I thought it was so fascinating that everybody was making like the biggest deal in the world about it. This is what Xbox does with every single one of their releases that they've ever done. And I'm just like, let's look into this. Yeah. And literally in the video, you could go watch it, but I'm like, okay, here's the list of every single Xbox Game Studios game, and let's just include Bethesda after they were purchased. Like, here's all the games that they released the past 3 years. And there's literally like, I think like 3 fair scores and 1 bad out of like 18 games. Those other like 14 were either good/really good to great/fantastic. So it's like, I don't know where that narrative comes from. And I feel like it's that mental image that's been placed. And it's mostly because you are not nominated for Game of the Year and you don't have a must-play score on Metacritic.
Right.
And because of that, we're more critical on you. Yeah. Your games are good, but they're not masterpieces. That's what it is.
And they're not, I don't know, they're not Hollywood style, I guess.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
The issue, like I said, I think it goes back to the idea that this is such a big ship for them now. It's going to take a minute during the turnaround.
And next year is looking pretty good for them, I think.
It does. It honestly, like, if like Fable and all this stuff actually hit.
I don't think Fable's coming next year.
Well, you know what I mean. But like stuff like that. Yeah. Like,
I think
Microsoft 24, Hellblade, Avowed, and Towerborn. Those are the 4 so far.
Yeah, those are the. Yeah. And I think honestly, out of all of them, those are the ones that I'm like, yep, that's probably going to be the ones that hit like the biggest.
Towerborn is like one of we've talked on the show a million times. I love co-op games. That's my bread and butter. So Towerborn is like I'm jonesing for that one. That's one of my most anticipated games of next year.
I don't think this tax is going to go away. This tax or whatever phrase you want to say. I think no matter what, it doesn't, like, they would literally have to get 5 Game of the Years in a row and have 2 years that they have like at least 1 or 2 must-play games. It's like it would have to be not just a one-time thing. It would have to be continuous. And because of that, when people keep holding these high expectations for every single release they do, it's like, this has to be the one, man. No, it isn't. You're going to say that even if this is the one. You're going to say that about the next one and the next one. And you're just not going to have realistic expectations. Like, that's just not what's going to happen. So
there's a lot of people out there, especially, on Twitter and Reset Era. And I know I should not look at Reset Era. I can't help myself. It's terrible, but I can't help myself. And even I think some within the media who don't want Xbox to be good. Yeah, they're just always going to have that perception. It's self-fulfilling prophecy to them.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the way to put it. Yep.
But hey, I'm looking at Game Pass and I'm not running out of stuff to play by any means. So.
I'm not either, honestly.
I made a great meme about it. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's get into the games we're playing. And Hunter, I have to run to the bathroom, so I'm going to start you off on Alan Wake while I run off for a second.
Yeah, I'll talk about Alan Wake all day.
I want to know about it. So yeah, what you think?
Alan Wake 2 is a fantastic survival horror game. Probably one of the best games to come out this year. Definitely the one that
supposedly it is.
Secretly, I'm kind of hoping it wins Game of the Year because I like. What if that wins? I think that's nuts. But yeah, that game is so fantastic. Very well done. Just I can't say enough good things about it. I haven't finished it yet because another game on my list, but like. Man, that is like so fantastic.
Can I ask? So 2 questions. One, do you think that people like? Do I need to play Alan Wake 2 to play this game to fully enjoy it?
The first one, I don't. I'm gonna say you could watch a video and be fine.
Okay. I mean, that's good to know. Yeah.
Yeah. If you enjoy trippy, like psychological stuff, I would just recommend jumping in. Honestly,
I do. Well, are you saying without the video jumping in?
Well, I mean, watch the video for sure.
Okay. You made it sound like I think you just jump in without anything, and then you'll be surprised.
No, I meant to say without playing the game, you could probably be fine.
Yeah, I don't know if
relying a lot on that first game and control to a degree.
Yeah, because that's what I would get worried about is like if just anybody can kind of hop in it, or if it's made for the games that have played Remedy's games. But,
yes.
But is there also any like game design details that you're loving about it, like mechanically or level design or anything like that?
I think the gunplay in that game is pretty good for a survival horror game.
Okay.
There's a lot of like in terms of like survival, like just in the realm of like survival horror in general, they've clearly played the big ones, and they know how to create tension in a way using like the gameplay itself, and it works extremely well. Like it's very well done in that regard. As like we made a game that is probably I'd put it on par of like Silent Hill 2 in terms of like how well it like melds all that together. Okay. But yeah, it's a really fun game to play, like especially like with the flashlight stuff. And
yeah, I'm with you. By the way, I do think that is the dark horse of I think that is the dark horse personally. Yeah.
You mentioned that the gunplay is good for survival horror. How does it compare to Control or other Remedy games?
It's slower. It is definitely slower.
Yeah.
You are not going to have the same experience.
You are not God
with this. Yeah. But it is like I said, it's all tension building. So it's like you're a normal, like you're essentially like a cop with a gun.
Oh.
Like you're not.
Oh no.
You're not. Yeah. Unfortunately. But you are not all powerful. You are very mortal, and the game makes you very aware of that fact.
Yeah, but that's part of that's why the game is fun.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Yeah. That's why it's fun. Yeah.
So I mentioned earlier when we were talking about Game Awards stuff, survival horror is not normally my bag, but like the level of just the review scores this game's getting, like I'm kind of curious about it still. Are there a lot of jump scares? Because that's like a total.
Yes, there are.
I can't do it.
Yeah, there are. I'm sorry to tell you.
Yeah.
It's such a bummer, man.
I'm a hard out.
Dang it.
I'm a big wuss.
It's gotten me a few times. Okay. It's very terrifying.
Yeah. Why? Why does there have to be next week?
I started last night and I streamed for a while, and then I played some more this morning off stream. Super Mario RPG. The remake just came out 2 days ago. I never played the original. It has actually.
Yeah.
I've had the original on my Steam Deck since the day I bought the Steam Deck, but I never got around to starting it up. So this is my first time, and. Yeah, it's really, really charming and cute. I was a little bit worried. I'm bad at timing stuff. Like even Hi-Fi Rush, I struggled with timing. So I was a little bit worried about you have to hit a button the exact moment you land an attack or the exact moment you defend an attack to negate damage, and that's a huge part of the game. Just like kind of like the Mario and Luigi series took from that after that. And I was a little bit worried that I would struggle with that. And there are some attacks I do better with than others, but overall it's pretty forgiving. There is actually when you first get an attack, they put exclamation points above your head when you're supposed to hit it. After you hit it successfully, like 5 or 10 times, I don't know the exact number, those go away. But that's a good way to teach you how to play the game, honestly. I am only up to the part where I just got Gino on my team. I've only got 2 of the 7 stars, which, by the way, it's weird that they took away the subtitle. It used to be Super Mario RPG Legend of the 7 Stars, and now it's just RPG.
Very strange.
Yeah.
Maybe they did that for a reason.
Yeah, maybe. It's hard for me to, since I never played the original, it's hard for me to say like how good of a remake it is compared to, or just how much it's upgraded.
How much did they add, or
I know the exclamation point thing is new. I know there's a boss rush mode. I haven't gotten to that yet because I don't know if you even unlock that until you beat the game. But I'm really, really enjoying it. I hear it's not that long, so I will hopefully finish it in the next couple days. And yeah, turn-based RPGs aren't. I used to hate them, which is why I didn't play this game ever before. Now I've warmed up to them more than I used to be, but it's still not like my number one genre or anything. But I guess just the Mario charm is carrying me through on this, and really enjoying the hell out of it.
Dude, I've wanted to play it. Like I'm with you. Like I've never played the original, but my reaction to this is actually on YouTube. Like I started screaming, not because I'm a big fan, but it's because I'm just like, oh my God, relevance for this. Like I get excited for other people. That's something everybody needs to know about me. If you're meeting me for the first time, I get genuinely excited for other people, for other things, not just the things that I like or whatever, because that makes life so much more fun. Sure. And like when I saw Super Mario RPG, it's not that I'm connected to it, but I'm just like, oh my God, they're acknowledging this freaking franchise that has been totally ignored for all these years. And the remake, the freaking cutscenes look crazy. And it just looks cute. Like I might make it a Christmas gift, but I also am trying to swear off my PlayStation Nintendo this year to try to catch up on my Game Pass backlog. So.
Well, you got a month and a half left until next year starts.
Ooh. Yeah, that's true.
One of the reasons it was so exciting is because we thought this wasn't possible because this game had so much legal limbo around it for a long time. Remember, it wasn't even on the virtual console for many, many years. People asked for it. I think they put it on Wii U eventually, and that was a big deal when it happened. Because if people don't know, this game, obviously Mario, Nintendo IP, but Square made this game originally. Like right in the height of their powers of when Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy were their biggest. I guess actually Final Fantasy VII was when
they were Squaresoft.
Yeah, exactly. and so people wanted Geno and Smash Brothers forever. They still do, and we thought that was never gonna happen, and we thought this game would never be re-released, and now all those things are on the table.
Exactly.
They could even make a sequel, and I wouldn't be shocked if that's planned. And that would be fantastic. And I think Geno's going to get in this next Smash Brothers too, personally. So that's all very exciting. You're playing Lies of P.
Oh, me? Oh, yeah. Yes, Mr. Kibiji is playing Lies of P lately. Not so much because I keep diving into other multiplayers that keep distracting me, but my main venture right now is Lies of P, and I'm enjoying it. It's I'm not much of a Souls person. The only FromSoft game I have played is Elden Ring, like many other people. That's just the bandwagoners, let's just say.
I didn't even play that one.
Okay.
I tried
Lots to unpack there.
I tried Wolong when it came to Game Pass. I know it's not FromSoft, but it's in that style, and I just can't do it. I'm terrible.
Yeah. And that's Liza P is it's got that challenge to it. But what I have to say about the game, like, first off, is visually it's really good. Like, I really think the visuals, it's one of those games that, like, I always appreciate booting up a game that all the marketing for it lined up perfectly. And that's how I feel about Liza P. I feel like every single trailer that they've shown building up to this game, like, yeah, that's exactly how the game looks and plays and stuff. And that's why I'm saying this is one of those games this year that I feel is exactly what I, wanted. It's not much more than what I wanted, but it's exactly what I wanted. And the bosses definitely kick my ass. Not as much as certain Elden Ring bosses did. Well, actually, pretty close. What I will say about Liza P in terms of the difficulty, it's so much less punishing than freaking Elden Ring was. Oh my god, it's so much, because the whole gimmick. This is the most finest example. The whole gimmick of Souls-like games is you fight things, you earn your XP, and you need to take it back to whatever your save point is to level up. That's the gimmick of Souls games. In this, you do that same thing, but like all those other games, if you die, then you have to go pick up where you died, and then you could bring it back to your thing to level up, whatever. But in this game, but in all the other ones, if you die, then that's it. You lost all that experience, and you're like, God damn it, that was a level up.
Wow.
In this game, they just get rid of like a third of it.
They
get rid of like a third of it, and you can just go back and grab it. And then, like, a lot of the times, if you died in a boss room in Elden Ring, you have to go back into the boss room and grab your thing in order. But this game, it's like, no, we'll put your XP right outside of the boss door. They do all these things, like, it's just examples of that, where it's like, we wanted to make a Souls-like game, but let the player have a bit more flexibility. And I don't know if I like or dislike that, but it's just something that's definitely, like, there. But I'm enjoying it, man. I suck at parrying, so I have like a agility thing that I'm dodging things, and I have like my pokey lanyard, or I forget what they're called, but my pokey stick instead of a sword or a big sword. I'm just poking people, dashing around, and that's how I'm fighting, and I'm enjoying it. I don't know how far I am in it, but I've been playing it for like more than 10 hours, so it's been pretty lengthy. Yeah.
I saw they just had a big patch yesterday or the day before that apparently changed a lot of stuff. I know.
I saw they updated it. Yeah.
I haven't played it, so I'm maybe talking on my butt here a little bit, but I know there was like some kind of dodge maneuver that you previously had to buy that apparently now you just get by default. And people are saying that's great. And I don't know. I think there's more to it.
Like
than
I said, forgiving. Forgiving.
Well,
I will say though that this is a game that like it's one of I was telling my friends this. This is one of those games that I'm like, oh yeah, this paid for Game Pass this month easily.
Yeah.
It's one of those games where it's like I feel like I am playing something that I easily could have bought for like $40+. It's like that level of quality. It's got that amount of content. It's got that level of polish, and I'm playing it through Game Pass right now, which is kind of dope.
It's on that tier. I know, like Maximilian Dude was talking about how it's his game of the year, and I've heard not a small number of people say that. Yeah, as far as the story, is it just a straight retelling of Pinocchio, or does it take twists that maybe if we, have seen the movies as kids?
So far, it's definitely not a straight telling. It's got a lot of the characters that Pinocchio has, but it's like totally different story, at least. Yeah, that's what I would say.
I actually didn't know.
Really, it's just Pinocchio going around trying to save this town that a bunch of puppets are loose, basically. So you're just killing a bunch of puppets trying to make sure they're no longer killing people.
I didn't know it was necessarily more forgiving than other Soulsborns. Now I'm actually kind of interested. Because I struggle with FromSoft games, and Wolong kicked my ass. Yeah. Like a Dragon Gaiden over with Hunter. You are loving the hell out of this game. You've been talking a lot about it.
Oh my god. I love this game.
Yeah.
It's
Speaking
so
of
good.
Game Pass, by the way.
Keep talking, I can hear you. I'm going to go pee.
So, Like a Dragon Gaiden is an expandalone for I would say I honestly am playing this game, and it really feels like a Dragon 7 DLC.
I love, by the way, that we've just taken expand alone and like, yep, that's the term now.
That's what it is, though. It's straight up an expand alone. This is where I'm going to like veer into something I was thinking about talking about, especially when it comes to Like a Dragon games. Okay. And this is just a warning that I want to get out to everybody who's interested in these games.
Getting spicy on us?
Not spicy. Okay. Some people might take umbrage with this.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of people kind of discuss how you should play Like a Dragon games and what order. I have the most straightforward advice for everyone who wants to get in this series. Play all of them in order. Don't skip any game. Because I know.
There's so many,
I know.
And they're so long.
I know there's so many and they're so long. You can't skip any of them, especially with Gaiden, because there are flashbacks to characters who I'm like, if you have not played 4 or 5, you have no idea what's going on.
Oh, man.
It is the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life, where I'm playing a game, I'm like, don't skip any of the games. You can't at this
I was
point.
listening to this the whole time, and I'm just like, well, I'm never playing those games.
Yeah, no.
I started 0, and I was liking it a lot, but man, it's just like I played for probably 15 hours and felt like I was nowhere in progressing. Like this, there's so much here. I don't know, man.
There's a lot. And I do not blame you guys at all for feeling that way. I really do not. But like,
I did find like a 6-hour video on YouTube of like a recap, and I haven't started yet. That's probably the way I'll get to it, because
you'd probably be okay with that.
Yeah.
Because Infinite Wealth looks
holy
cool.
shit, it does. But holy shit, I am so glad I played all of these, because like if I had jumped in at Gaiden, I'd be like, where am I?
and this, if people don't know, this takes place after. What was the last? Oh, the last one was called Yakuza Like a Dragon.
7.
Or maybe it's simultaneous. Is it after or simultaneous to it?
It's simultaneously. Because you go to the same locations.
Okay. And you're playing as Kiryu, who I think he was in 7 a tiny little bit, but he was not the main focus. So it's like, hey, what was he doing during this story?
So a brief summary would be Kiryu, at the end of 6, Kiryu fakes his death. And he is forced into service by, like, essentially the Japanese CIA. Yeah.
As you do.
Yeah.
Wow. And this one's not a turn-based RPG. This is going back to a brawling.
It's not. It's straight up just brawling.
I wonder.
Beat people up in the streets.
I wonder if that's the pattern they'll go to now. Like the mainline numbered. Well, I guess Infinite Wealth doesn't have a number, but the mainline ones, if they are gonna stay turn-based RPGs, if they will continue to do these brawling spin-offs. I mean, they did Ishin. Well, Ishin was a remake, but still.
Ishin's a remake. Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I realized though?
Yeah.
What was the last numbered Yakuza game?
Was the last one, like a Dragon 7.
Well, it didn't have a number.
Yakuza, it's Yakuza 7, Like a Dragon.
I thought it didn't have a number, though.
No, it does.
Okay.
I don't know if it's on. I can look it up on my Steam right now, but like, that is technically the last Yakuza game. Now it's Like a Dragon.
So there was indeed a Yakuza. So there was indeed a Yakuza 6.
Yes.
I'm basically
Yakuza
trying to
6.
get at if there was a Yakuza 6. Okay.
There is a Yakuza 6.
There is a 6, and then 7 is Yakuza Like a Dragon, and now the
Okay.
whole series
Yep, I
is
see.
called Like a Dragon.
Yeah.
Well, what I was getting to is I was wondering if Infinite Wealth, technically, it has Infinite Wealth in it, but it's a sideways 8.
It is a sideways 8.
Hunter, correct me if I'm wrong. The series in Japan has always been called Like a Dragon, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's always been called Like a Dragon in Japanese.
So-
This is the most clumsy way to rebrand. I agree.
This is how
Yes.
Dragon Quest
Yes.
used to be called Dragon Warrior here, and they eventually matched it up. Or like Final Fantasy, the numbering used to be off between us, Japan, and then eventually it's like, screw it, it's all the same.
Yeah, they're like, fuck it.
Yeah.
They eased us into it, though, going
They
Yakuza
did.
Like a Dragon. Okay, now it's Like a Dragon.
Well, look, it's funny because in the last chapter of the last game, the last chapter is called The End of Yakuza. And now it's actually like...
Wow.
It's Like a Dragon now.
Damn, nice.
They didn't lie.
Nice, yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and go right into Spider-Man 2? We talked about this on our Lost episode, so unfortunately nobody got to hear it. But
I finished it. Yes.
Okay.
I really love Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
It is a great game. It is not going to be my game of the year list for sure. I love that game. It's really good. There's just too many bangers this year that I'd put over it.
Sure.
To be honest.
Okay. I was gonna say why, but okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Top 5 maybe.
Top 5 for sure.
Okay.
It'd be in my top 5. Probably number 5 if I'm being honest.
All right.
If I can comment on this, yeah, I played Spider-Man 2 as well, and it was freaking awesome. I loved it.
Do Peter and Miles feel substantially different to play?
In some ways, I'd say.
Okay.
In like little ways. I wouldn't say any big ways. They're not.
It's more because they both have different move styles. In terms of the exploration, they're exactly the same.
Yes,
but it's mostly in combat that they have certain different abilities. And it's kind of cool too because they both have, without saying too many specifics, they have two different. You could customize your special moves in this game, and I don't remember if you could do that in the first game, but this one you can, and they have like 2 different sets. So you press like left bumper X to do a move that brings everybody up to the sky so you can do air combos. Yep. But you have 2 different versions of that move where this is in the trailer, so I can say this, where like, Peter might have his technology to do it, or you could switch it to the Venom thing where his Venom can do it. And like, and Miles has something similar where you have 2 different elements you could swap back and forth between, which that's kind of where they differentiate is like just their combat abilities. But it's pretty similar though.
It's very similar. It's mostly just subtle changes.
I need to get around to it. Because I'm a Marvel guy. I'm wearing Wolverine on my shirt right now. And actually, they got the cap shield there. I'm Marvel fanboy, and I enjoyed the first one a lot. But just this style of game, I'm so burnt out on. The narrative game. It's just But I do need to play it.
I will say the exploration part of it, because I was kind of the opposite of you, where I was getting tired of open worlds. So I was kind of craving narrative stuff.
That too.
And this game, the other thing I love about it is that it has little moments of stretching, but it's like a 20-hour you're good adventure.
You can breeze through it, and that's
totally.
What I did. So I was like, I don't want to explore every alley of the city.
I was done with it in like a week, maybe 2. I don't think it was even 2 actually. Even my roommate was like, "You went through that fast?" I'm like, "Dude, it was just a solid 20-hour adventure."
Yeah.
I was feeling about halfway through Miles Morales, and it's not a bad game at all. I was just feeling like I'm just kind of feeling done with this, and then Ragnarok was just like a breaking point for me. Like that is a good game, but I just can't do this anymore.
It's a lot.
It's not what I'm looking for out of my games. But what I am looking for is Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which actually I did talk about a little bit before in the Game Awards nominations. But boy, that game is just. You can't play that game and not smile. It is just a joy to look at, a joy to hear, a joy to play. There's so many new ideas compared to the last few 2D Mario games. Boy, I'm just charmed, overwhelmingly charmed, I guess is kind of the best way to explain my feelings of it. I need to actually get back and play more. I got distracted by Super Mario RPG and other games. There's a million games, but yeah, Super Mario Wonder, it is going to be in my top 5 of the year, and I'm glad it got nominated for Game of the Year. I think it belongs on that list. It won't win, but it belongs on the list. And yeah, just it's fantastic for me. And it is as big a step up as Odyssey felt for 3D Mario games to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I love it to death. And the multiplayer stuff we talked about already, but it is very fresh. I love it. Let's go to Yu-Gi-Oh.
That would be me.
What's the name of this game, by the way? Like, does it have a subtitle on it, or?
Well, I mean, you guys have heard of like the anime or card game Yu-Gi-Oh, right?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I've heard of it. I don't know shit about it, honestly.
Well, because my like kind of. I don't know if I should say both, but Yu-Gi-Oh is basically like one of my 2 multiplayers I just can't quit, and and more specifically, because it is a card game, but they have this free-to-play version of it called Master Duel, and that's specifically what I'm playing, and it's. I think what I realized is this year in terms of video game discoveries, I think I have a strategy boner.
Oh,
I think I do.
Okay. Right,
like when you were talking about like turn-based RPGs in my thing, I'm like, I think after I played Final Fantasy X, I'm kind of craving that because I played that like for the first time a couple years ago, and I'm like, this is dope. And then I played Pokemon, and I'm like, this sucks. And then I'm like, but sometimes when a good strategy game hits me, I'm like, I dig this. And Yu-Gi-Oh! I always loved when I was a kid. So I'm like, oh, let's check out this free-to-play game and see how good it is. And then it's like, I think the reason I love it so much is because Yu-Gi-Oh's got way too complicated over the years. I'm going to admit that. They do a good job onboarding new people with the tutorials that they have. Absolutely, I think they do. But that said, I think the biggest reason I'm so addicted to this game is it has one of the best free-to-play monetization systems I have ever seen in any video game I have ever played.
What platforms is it on?
It's on everything.
I think
Okay.
Yeah, it's on
mobile,
everything.
PlayStation, PC, Switch, Xbox. Yeah. But the reason is because, like, my other multiplayer game I play way too much is Halo Infinite. But like, even that game, the problem that game and so many other games have is that you have no way of earning whatever the microtransaction thing is. You don't.
Yeah.
You have to either buy it or get the premium battle pass and earn your money back through the premium battle pass. But there's no way to really earn those things, and if there is, it takes ages. But Yu-Gi-Oh, you literally just play the game and maybe do some dailies, and they actually give you the currency that you can buy.
Wow.
Okay, you legit can actually earn the currency that you have to usually buy in other games. And I've played the game way too much, probably because of that. It made it kind of addicting because it's like, cool, I never have to pay to make a new deck. Because that's the whole thing that motivates me. Whenever I make a new deck, it's like a new Smash character. When you get a new Smash character, you want to like play that character. When you make a new deck, you want to play that deck hard. And that's the part about the game that makes it hard to put down. Is like, I can make all this money in the game by just playing it. And that's freaking dope. And yeah, so I've been loving that. And Halo Infinite.
Like I said, I have zero experience with Yu-Gi-Oh at all. I don't know why. I draw a line in my head for some reason between, like I mentioned before, JRPGs and turn-based RPGs, not normally my thing, but tactics games like XCOM, Final Fantasy Tactics, Fire Emblem. If you got a grid and overhead view, then I love that. I don't know what the difference is to me in my head, but for some reason there is. Like XCOM 2 is one of my favorite games ever.
Almost like chess.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, it is. And card games, even there's a couple of them. I liked. Did you do Midnight Suns?
No.
I like Midnight Suns a lot. I actually need to go back to it now that all the DLC's out. And the cards turned a lot of people off from that game. I thought it was very neat.
It's fun as hell.
Yeah.
It is very fun.
Yeah, I'd recommend Midnight Suns if you get a chance. I tried out, I love this title, Bang on Balls Chronicle. I was streamed this with Lisa, and we were just going to do like an hour or 2 hours, and we ended up playing for 6. This is such a weird game that is not getting enough recognition right now, I think, because actually this got my attention because it is on that open critic list of top reviewed games of the year. It's not, up near the top, but it did well. It got like low 90s, I think. And this is a 3D platformer that you can play. You can play it by yourself, but you can also play up to 4 players, which we're playing. But it's a platformer where you play as a ball. And a lot of it is rolling or charging or, knocking into things or banging. That's why they call it Bang on Balls. And it is just, it is so destructible. That's the biggest thing. You're supposed to charge into things and destroy them. And it's all about finding secrets. It's less about platforming challenges and more about finding stuff and level. It's a collectathon with a lot of destruction, I guess is the best way to describe it.
I like that.
Yeah, it's really neat. You can customize your ball. Dress it up. There's a lot
as you do.
There's a ton of unlockable, ton of outfits that you find and stuff. There's nothing, as far as I can tell, no microtransactions or anything. And I believe they have a new level coming. But we spent all 6 hours in this one level because there's only 4 levels, and they're like hubs, really, there's more appropriate to call them than levels. We did this Viking one, and just the amount of different things they give you to do with I was gonna say with your balls, but like put yourself on a catapult and then get flung at different things to destroy them, and then find hidden areas under that destruction. We found this weird like Greek bathhouse area after we thought we'd finished the level. We thought we'd found everything when we found this weird Greek bathhouse level that we thought was just going to be one room, and it turned out to be like almost a whole separate level under there that we were in for another hour.
Wow.
It's really it's a game that is, we used the term earlier, punching above its weight. This game's punching above its weight, and I think more people need to check this out. This isn't one of those games I always default to these days, because Game Pass has so many great co-op games, and I think they fit there so well, because now it's hard to get 4 of your friends to spend $60 on a game. Oh, this game's not $60, but whatever. It's hard to get your friends to buy a game. I think co-op games do so well on Game Pass. I really wish this was on there. And actually, another game I'm going to talk about later is another co-op game that I really wish was on there. I think it'd be getting more attention and getting more eyeballs. Yeah, this game was surprising as hell to me, and I really, really liked it.
No comment.
Let's jump over to Halo. I played the campaign and you played the multiplayer. Why don't you go first a little bit? Like, this game's... I
don't know. Maybe you should, because I feel like the campaign, I'm a little bit bummed that a lot of people pass up on it, especially if they have Game Pass. I literally have 2 friends that I played so much multiplayer with them, and I'm like, have you played a campaign? No.
Well, we had skipped it because Lisa and I play all the Halo campaigns co-op, and we were going to play it at the Series X launch, and then the game got delayed a year, and then the game launched without co-op for like another year. It's like, all right, well, and then it just kind of got on the back burner, and we didn't get around to it till now because Firefight's coming, and I don't play PvP, but I'm very excited for Firefights, and so that made me think, you know what, we should probably knock out this campaign before, because I thought maybe, I don't know, maybe Firefight will spoil some like Covenant units that or something. I don't know. So whatever. I thought, let's knock out the campaign finally.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was really, really good. Very, nice. Obviously I think everybody knows how different it is compared to past co-ops. It's an open world now. And the grapple hook is a game changer, absolute game changer. But I do feel once you get into the levels, then it just starts to feel like a classic Halo campaign. It's the stuff in between the levels that are, very Far Cry-ish, but not in a bad way. Even though I'm a little burnt out on Far Cry, it works in Halo sandbox for whatever reason. The sandbox, the guns and the enemies all together, and the vehicles. It's always been Halo's calling card, but it's
kind of like just a giant playground is the way I think of that open world. It doesn't feel like there are the waypoints, the Ubisoft waypoints, but there's something about the way it feels. It kind of feels like, just go ahead and do this if you feel like it, or something. Like, I don't know.
You're absolutely right. And I think it's the best suite of weapons they've had in a Halo game. There's really no weapon in there I don't like using, honestly. How about you?
I'm glad you enjoyed the campaign, first off. Because, a lot of people... so, background about me, Halo is my all-time favorite game franchise. So, there's that. And with that in mind, I pay attention to so many people, and they literally say, the campaign for Infinite is finally, the best Halo campaign there's been since the Bungie games. So
I agree.
I'm glad you had a good time with it. You said you beat it, or you played it?
Yeah, we did beat it.
Yeah,
nice. I haven't 100%ed it or anything, but we beat all the the narrative levels.
The main narrative ones, So, and I miss it, and I hope... It sucked to hear that their campaign side of their team basically got gutted when they finally did one right. Man. So it's a bummer.
When I was done with it, I thought of how many things they could have added Like there could be a whole expansion based on the Arbiter coming to the ring and whatever mission he's got with that we need to get done. There could be a whole expansion of the Flood invading the ring, and all this stuff's just not going to happen.
Or what happened to Infinity and certain characters that were on that. I don't know. Yeah. But the multiplayer side of things, we go back to the whole Xbox tax situation, and it's funny because when Halo Infinite first came out, like this game actually reviewed really well. Yeah. Like if you look at the scores, it's reviewed very well. It's more so the live service that was the part about it that people were just not feeling. Like for a Halo game, this is not a ideal live service Halo game. And now the game is finally to that point, almost 2 years later, basically 2 years later. Well, at the launch of Season 5, basically. So almost 2 years later, that it's in that stage that everybody wanted, where not only is the co-op and Forge in it, which they added towards the end of last year, towards the end of this year, it's like there's so many maps now because they have so many maps that they're putting in for the community because Forge mode looks insane in Halo.
Forge mode saved this game, I think.
It did. It did. And it's because they just straight up gave their community what are straight up developer tools. Like that's how legit the Forge mode is in this game. And because of that, it's very non-beginner friendly. But the things that people are making are insane, and them adding that to matchmaking is crazy. You see the start of this game, it had only like 4 playlists. Now it has like 16, and they're rotating ones out, so it's not like they're diversifying their players that they have too much. You can just get progression by just playing the game now instead of their early day challenges where it's like snipe 3 flag carriers to get this. Yeah, I hated that, but now like just just get this amount of points or use the assault rifle and pistol to get kills. And I'm just loving it, man. And the custom games this season is the hardest I have ever been able to progress in any of their battle passes, which I've maxed out all of them. But this has been the hardest for me because of how much I want to play the custom games. Because it's like you said, all the PvE stuff that they added and the stuff that people are making. They're remaking levels. They have their own firefight thing. People think of these creative things like Pokemon battles with the freaking AI. I went to a cool like remake of Blood Gulch, which everybody knows, but it's like 12v12 players, but they have the AI, which you can have up to 32. So they have 16 AI on each team. So you just have like this huge ass battlefield of 12 players and 16 AIs just clashing. And I love it, man. It's literally the Roblox Halo that I hoped this was going to be at launch. And now it's finally here. So it's hard for me to ever not play it a week. Yeah. I would have been through Lies of P by now if it wasn't for Yu-Gi-Oh! And Halo Infinite. I would have been through a lot of games by now, actually, if it wasn't for Yu-Gi-Oh! And Halo Infinite.
Right. It is just like, it's for a lot of people out there, it's going to be hard to, I guess, wipe their first impression away, but it's there now. Like, there's really no question about it. And Diablo kind of went through a shorter version of this where, people loved the campaign of Diablo. I loved the campaign of Diablo. And then that first season was pretty weak sauce. And the end game was pretty weak sauce. And now it feels like season 2 really got things together. But, Halo went through that for like 3 years. And it's tough to rewire people, but boy, it's like I said, it's there. It's I
think they're short of just maybe one. Now that the game is where everybody wanted to be, now they're just short of one like big news thing or something big coming to the game. Once they do that, I think it'll pop off.
Hopefully that's Firefight. I can't wait for Firefight.
Something bigger than that. I think it's got to be something like that they would show at a showcase kind of a thing. So we'll see.
I got 2 that I've only spent like an hour with each one, so I won't go into long details on these. But Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew, and I really, even though I have not dug deep into it, I do want to mention this because it's such a sad story what happened in the studio. They released this game through the roof reviews. All their games have been through the roof reviews. They're called Me games, and then immediately like, we're closing down, we're done, it's over. Like, oh well, that sucks because they make tactics games that are real time and stealth. There's stealth real time tactics games, which I don't know of any other developer really doing games quite like this. You see a lot of turn-based tactics or you see stealth games, but nothing like in this exact style. And they did Desperados 3, they did Shadow Tactics before, which was a samurai game, and then a cowboy game, and now this is a pirate ghost game. And this one has, you could tell, is the most budget of any of their games because it has the most, it looks the best graphically, but it also has more voice acting than they normally have. And they're just they were a unique studio making a unique style of game that I love, and I'm really sad that they're not around anymore. And I need to dig deeper in this game. I'll talk about it more when I do.
Yeah.
And then Endless Dungeon. This one I played even less, but this is a twin stick shooter in the vein of like once again Helldivers or something, but also has more tower defense elements in it, and it's a roguelike as well. All three of those as well. And yeah, it's like I said, this one I'm not very far in, but this is a great co-op game. This is another one that I wish was on Game Pass. It's from Sega, believe it or not. It's actually, I believe it's a reimagining of an indie game that came out a couple years ago called Dungeon of the Endless. This is the same studio. They're now doing the same thing with more of a budget. And you can tell it does look sharper than Dungeon of the Endless was. It's a great game, but it's an ugly game. And this is not that at all. Yeah, but check that one out if you can. I need to play more of it before I can come in and give you anything definitive, but it's a neat, unique game. Let's burn through this news because I don't want to go too long. Hey, are you surprised they're making a new Grand Theft Auto?
What's that?
You ever heard of this game?
What's Grand Theft Auto?
Is that some kind of new indie game?
Yeah. It's in early access, I think.
Oh.
No.
Nice.
GTA finally official, even though, first of all, you just take some common sense to know, they're going to make a new Grand Theft Auto. But also the game leaked like a year ago. A lot of it did. But now...
I thought that was a reveal.
Yeah. Now it's official, and they're showing a trailer in December. And I bet that'll make a few dollars.
At least 10.
Yeah. Do you think
At least 10.
Do you think it'll actually be at the Game Awards, or will they do their own thing? I don't think so.
No, there's no way.
I agree. They've never, big in the E3. They've done a few, usually they have done, I believe when they brought GTA 5 from the 360 to the next generation, they revealed that at E3. But as far as, their new games, they don't need that shit.
They don't. They have their Rockstar gameplay trailer that they like to do, and they're gonna have their own event. It's the way these things go.
Mm-hmm.
I think at the least, I'm just not sure, basically. But at the least, this isn't even speculation. This is just me sharing a hope. If it is at the Game Awards, I don't want to know about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to have any idea, because I hate it when Jeff is like, oh, stay tuned for the Mortal Kombat and Cyberpunk and Hogwarts Legacy trailers. And it's like, I don't want to expect any of that. I want to be surprised. And can you imagine if people knew that the GTA, let's just hypothetically say it's GTA 6 trailer, was going to be at the Game Awards, everybody would just be waiting around for it the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
They'd be just like, is this it? Is this it? Is this it? And it's like, no, that'll ruin the show, in my opinion. So it's I hope they don't promote that, even though marketing wise it's genius, because then people will watch the show for it. But it's please don't. Don't do that.
Also,
if it's not gonna be there, then I hope the trailer is before the Game Awards, because then me too. If it's not before the Game Awards, then people are still gonna be expecting it out there.
And there's also the thing of that guy who rushed the Gamescom stage after GTA 6, and I don't want to reward him in any way.
That's true.
Yes, that's a good point.
Yeah, fuck that.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
But I like GTA enough. I haven't played the online since the first 6 months it was out. But I had fun with it, and I look forward to it. I'm actually a little bit surprised that they're even gonna bother doing a single player campaign with how successful online is.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll be a single player only. Yeah, right.
I was discussing this with a coworker the other day, and I was like, if you really think about it, all the people who made those GTA games kind of special or are not working there anymore.
Yeah, one of the Hauser brothers is gone, and many others.
I do want to say though, just to be on the hype side of things, somebody put this out, and oh my god, Red Dead Redemption 2. I said earlier, or maybe it wasn't here. I can't remember if it was here on the other show, but I'm just like, Last of Us 2 is easily one of the best looking games I've ever seen, and I put that alongside maybe Uncharted 4, Horizon Forbidden West, but another one I put in there is Red Dead Redemption 2, and that game is just so stunning. And somebody put on Twitter, like, imagine the next GTA game with the Red Dead Redemption 2 level of fidelity. And I'm like,
that's
impossible.
Right.
No freaking way. That would be insane.
and Red Dead was made for last gen, so
so it's gonna look better.
Yeah. I literally said, I'm like, there's no way. Like, when I played Red Dead Redemption 2, that's what it's called. When I played that game, I'm just like, this shouldn't exist right now. That's literally how crazy it felt to me. This should not exist right now. So if it's even on that level, if it's even just on that level, and it's just in a city or whatever, my mind will be blown.
Yeah, it's gonna be a looker for sure.
Half-Life's 25th anniversary just happened, and they dropped a huge update. And first of all, they're giving the Half-Life away for free right now. I think you got a couple weeks to grab it on Steam. Although they've given it away for free before, so I have it.
That's how I own. Yeah. That's how I own them.
And they've added Steam Deck official support and controller support and graphical updates. They've also added some new multiplayer maps, which, hey, as much as I love Half-Life, did people play the multiplayer that much in it?
Yeah, it's called Counter-Strike.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's that. And Team Fortress, but, you know, I don't remember people playing the original Half-Life multiplayer that much. Hey, but maybe they are now. And also they added Uplink to it, which is a demo that they had that was, you had to buy like a certain sound card to get it back in the day.
Weird.
Now it's just in there. Yeah. All this is real neat. The only thing missing now is Half-Life Decay, which was a co-op campaign that was specifically made for the PS2 version of the game and never got ported anywhere else.
What the?
I know that.
What is? I don't. Okay.
Now you can play that on PC through fan mods, but not officially.
Yeah.
And Half-Life Alyx being on PSVR.
Yeah, that too.
That too.
They also, as part of this anniversary, dropped a documentary from Danny O'Dwyer and No Clips Games. He made an hour-long documentary, which I started. Ooh. I haven't finished it yet. I
gotta watch that. Yeah. I know what I'm doing after this.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Zelda's getting a live-action movie. Which this news is kind of old now, but like I said, we hadn't recorded in a bit. Avi Arad of Spider-Man fame and a lot of the...
Not good. Already not a good sign.
A lot of the Marvel stuff that's not within the MCU, like he was part of the X-Men franchise and the Spider-Man franchise. He's producing it. Wes Ball's directing, who did the Maze Runner movies. I don't know anything about the Maze Runner movies, to be honest with you.
They're not bad. Okay. They're not bad.
I don't necessarily need this to be live action. I would rather it be animated.
Me neither.
I do not want this.
Wow.
The more I think about it, I'm like, I hear Avi Arad live action Legend of Zelda and my skin crawls a little bit.
Yeah.
You're gonna hear Link say, "I'm ready to get bitches, Grandpa."
Oh God.
Yeah, I would much rather they go with an animated style. I know everybody wanted it to be Studio Ghibli style, and that would be fantastic. Yeah. But I mean, that's a pipe dream. To actually have it done by Studio Ghibli itself is a pipe dream. But boy, that would have been nice.
And you know, the other big significant part of that is if it's not animated. Actually, to me, I don't think I mind as much it being live action. I prefer animated. But the bigger reason I prefer animated, you know why, right?
No.
Come on. It's obvious. If it's not animated,
Link has
and Mario was animated, then how are they going to do Smash Bros?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's also a thing. Like, how do you?
And this is
that to me is really important.
This is a different studio too. This was at Sony, whereas Mario was at Universal.
However, there was a key part of this that people aren't commenting on, which is Nintendo said that they are 51% the funders of this,
right.
And that's something that people aren't bringing up, but it's very important.
Very good.
That's very important because they are not only means that they are the final say, but that also means that they own the thing.
Yeah.
So that's very important that people I don't think are talking about enough.
What matters to me though is that eventually this will translate into Zelda theme park. Eventually,
I mean,
there will be a Universal Studios Zelda experience.
That was probably going to happen anyway, right?
Yeah.
I think they're doing Donkey Kong next, but like...
Yes, that's the next big expansion. That'll probably take 13 years or whatever.
Yeah, and you have to imagine Zelda would have been the one after that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they're going to have to cast a Link, which is just going to be weird.
Which is cursed. I don't want that.
Did you see who said they wanted to do it?
Yes, and I don't want to grace him with a name on this podcast.
I'm going to say it. Machine Gun Kelly said he wanted
to No, I'm shutting it down.
Okay.
No.
Okay, we'll move on.
Vetoing that immediately.
Can't imagine why. Jeff Grubb says that right now, no one is currently working on the Knights of the Old Republic remake. He did not use the word canceled, but he said at this moment in time, there's no studio working on it.
Man.
Yeah. I mean, this is Embracer being a goddamn mess, right? Like, just continuing to be a goddamn mess.
I don't feel good about this at all.
They expanded way too soon. I don't know what happened, and I don't know.
Spent a lot of money.
Actually, okay, I do want to say, I think not to potentially steer this to a different conversation, but just keeping it on Embracer. I think they started expanding, and other people started thinking of it too, because video games popped off hard during COVID. During COVID, they popped off hard, and it's because we had nothing else to do. And because of that, I think, certain folks, like, let's just stick to Embracer, was like, oh, let's expand. We can make more games. Look at how many people are playing games. But when COVID was over, didn't work out the way they thought it would.
The posers left.
Oh, right. That's that's why we're seeing. Well, it's one of the reasons why we're seeing so many layoffs across the industry, and Embracer's getting worse than anybody. I also shouldn't say. I want to rephrase that because they're getting it worse as if like, oh, this is just the thing that's happening to them. No, this is their fault, and I don't want to not pass blame.
There is also very clearly they had no plan other than expand.
They had one plan. Yeah. They had one plan, and it was the Saudi Arabia money. And when that fell through, they got nothing.
It was. Yep.
Yeah.
And that sucks. You need to have like I thought what they initially were doing was, I wasn't sure it was going to work, but I thought it was interesting how they were getting all the studios and lending them out. Crystal Dynamics was working on they're doing Tomb Raider with Amazon, they're doing Perfect Dark with Xbox. Eidos Montreal is helping on Fable with Xbox. Gearbox, even though they belong to Embracer, they're still working on Borderlands with 2K. Like, it felt like they were almost like running a whorehouse where they were lending out their studios.
They're the pimp.
Yes.
They're the pimp. Yeah.
And I thought that was an interesting model. And the Saudi Arabia was going to be the biggest one, but when that one fell through, now it's all collapsing. Yep. And people are paying for it with their jobs. We have another story further down, but I'll just go into it now. Free Radical Design is one of their studios, which I know they. If people aren't aware, Free Radical made Time Splitters way back in the day. They closed. Embracer bought the Time Splitters IP and started a new studio and was calling it Free Radical, and they were going to bring back Time Splitters, and now they're not closed yet, but they seem like they're on the chopping block, and that doesn't feel good. Like, I know, like, it was a whole new cast of studios, so like it's tough to expect these people to do Time Splitters as well as the old guard. But I was still excited for it as somebody who liked that franchise a lot.
I like Time Splitters. I'd like
Time
more
Splitters
Time
dope.
Splitters.
Yeah. And that's a franchise or just IP that could have functioned super good in today's technologies that we have. Yep. And Yeah, that was a big bummer.
You know,
I don't know. Embracer Group has had so many this year.
Some of these other publishers, and Embracer sounds like they're open to selling them off instead of, and not specifically Free Radical, but a lot of their studios, they're open to selling off rather than just closing. I hope they get some buyers because I don't want to see, like, they just closed Volition. That was a studio with like 25 years of history, and now it's just gone. Even, like, whether you like Saints Row or not, like, that's just sad that these studios are closing, and they're not the only one. Like,
yeah.
Embracer's a disaster right now, and I just hope that some of these studios can get lifeboats off the disaster before it sinks completely.
Yep,
yes.
100%.
Yeah, lifeboats. That's a good way to put it.
Speaking of Jeff Grubb, he also mentioned that the next Mass Effect is still, even though they just teased it, it's not going to be out till 2029 at least.
You know what? I can replay Mass Effect another 10 times.
I'm going to run it that.
It's fine.
I mean, the thing about that, though, is that he's kind of just... Sometimes people take what Jeff Grubb says as if he's like leaking out inside information, but here I just felt like it was him speculating. You know, like that's what it felt like to me. Like, is it possible that that's correct and likely? Yeah, but like it was. I saw the clip that he said it, and it seemed like it was just him shooting the shit. You know,
to me, it seems very likely. But like I am not too bent out of shape about it because like.
Has there been any updates on like where Dreadwolf is at from Dragon Age?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's supposedly that's next year. I don't know.
Yeah,
they seem happy with it.
Because if hypothetically, you know, if Dreadwolf came out when now I want to look when Dreadwolf was announced, but if Dreadwolf hypothetically came out, I don't know, early 2025. Okay, hold on. I'm like making a schedule here because Andromeda came out, I want to say in 2017, either 2016 or 2017. Anthem came out in 2019. The only reason I know that is because I looked at something earlier. So it's like I feel like, and through COVID, let's just add another 2 years. So and game development's gotten longer. So I'm just like I feel like Dreadwolf could actually come out either next year or the year after.
Yeah.
That being in mind, I feel like Mass Effect would potentially come out a couple years after that because it's already being worked on. So I don't know. It could be close to like
2027. Like early.
I think that's what I'm leaning to. Yeah.
I hope.
Me too. But like Eric and I were big Mass Effect fans. But I'm looking at this game. I'm like, take your time. Like
totally.
Yeah, take your time, but. I don't know.
I want it. I'm going to play it
real bad.
I'm going to play it.
You know, there is some good news, though. And Casey Hudson opened up his own studio, and it sounds like he said, we're doing a AAA RPG. And then also in new news today, NetEase is opening a new studio called Worlds Untold. And the leader of that studio is Mac Walters, who was the writer on Mass Effect. And they said, they said we're doing a AAA RPG.
Let's go.
Yeah. So
let's go.
So we got 2 not Mass Effects coming at least.
That's funny.
I'll take them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remedy has updated. You know, they got a million games coming. They're doing Alan Wake remakes, or I'm sorry, not Alan Wake. Max Payne remakes.
Max Payne.
And one of them is called Project Vanguard. It was a free-to-play co-op game done with Tencent, but now they're changing it slightly. It's now a game still has a strong co-op component, was their words, and it's not free-to-play anymore. It's a premium game. Are people just... Like, I think now kind of free-to-play games are... I don't think they're going away. I don't think the bubble is burst, but they definitely don't seem like the 100% safe bet that they used to do. And people are starting to, like I said, there's not going to be a hard left turn, but I think there's going to be a slight veering away from that kind of thing.
I mean, I look at it as like, I just think that the audience for that may not be as big as it was right now, at least.
Yeah.
So... There's no like I said. There's no safe bet anymore. There's not like audiences are more fickle than ever. We've seen on Twitter. You know, like it. There's no clear answer.
And it's not. That's not Remedy's expertise, right?
Yes, that's also the other thing.
It is Tencent's, but not Remedy's.
Yeah, I'll be very curious though because they're making it a full. At least that's what they're saying. Instead of a free-to-play model, we're going to make an actual premium model.
Yeah,
sure.
And
Let's see what the difference is with that.
And like I said, co-op games are my bread and butter, so this is like, I'm more interested in this than most Remedy games, honestly.
Now, I will say, though, they did make...
Crossfire X?
Yes. Which wasn't a co-op game, granted. So it's like, if this is a... I don't know. We'll see.
I forgot about Crossfire X, but yeah.
We try to, yeah.
Well, you gotta kind of feel like that game is the original Crossfire is still today the most popular online game in the world, which is baffling to me.
That's insane.
Wow.
So you gotta kind of feel for Xbox that like when they signed that deal, that must have seemed like a home run. Like this is gonna be such a slam dunk.
Such a
Now
bummer.
it's
I know.
Yeah.
And it's similar with like they got Phantasy Star Online 2. That seemed like that was gonna be a slam dunk, and I think that's doing okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that's.
I'm sure there's plenty of people playing that game.
And I dip into it here and there. I don't think that one is a bust like Crossfire X, but I don't think it's as big as they expected it to be or I expected it to be. Jason Schreier reported that Modern Warfare 3 was put together in a year and a half.
Certainly feels that way.
Yeah. Sledgehammer put together Vanguard in only 2 years, a couple years ago, and they were promised that we're not going to do this to you again. And then it happened again in even less time.
With a shorter timeline.
Yeah.
So this is interesting because I want to hit this one because it's like,
yeah.
So because the original reports for this was that it was supposed to be just an expansion of Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah, the annual Call of Duty machine finally was going to break down.
Yeah, but then like there's a spokesperson specifically from Activision that's like, oh no, this was already the intent.
Sure.
How do we? Yeah, exactly. Like how do we know?
I believe you.
And it's like, and the quality kind of shows here with how this turned out, and a lot of people, I haven't looked at any multiplayer reviews, just like 1 or 2 campaign reviews, which are terrible. But the multiplayer reviews I haven't heard too much. I don't know if either of you have.
It's getting.
I've heard word of mouth.
It's doing. I know some people who are really into the multiplayer here. But kind of the overall reviews were like, all right, the multiplayer is like a 6 or a 7. The campaign is way lower.
And the thing is that people were just kind of feeling like, maybe the campaign was a super rushed thing put together, and the multiplayer is just kind of like maybe Modern Warfare 2 over again. I don't know. I'm totally speaking from the outside here, but the big thing that makes me very kind of interested and excited about this is that, hey, Phil Spencer just did the rounds, meeting all the teams, going, what do you guys want to work on? And what do you want to do and everything? And I'm just like, when I heard this story, it made me so interested in the future because I don't think they would ever have greenlit something like this happening.
No.
I imagine there's a lot of people who work for these Call of Duty studios who have ideas that are like not Call of Duty.
Yeah. I do expect the big 3, which are Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward, and Treyarch.
Yes.
I expect those 3 to be on Call of Duty still. But kind of
and you're still going to produce Call of Duty. We're not going to buy you to like that's why we bought you. That's one of the reasons.
Absolutely.
It's because for you guys to keep making that. But just the way that they approach this one, that's where I think course correction is.
My biggest hope is that it becomes a franchise that is every other year or even every 3 years possibly. And a lot of those surrounding studios like Toys for Bob and Raven and Beanox, they can be freed to do other things is the biggest thing. From what I've heard, because I'm also on the outside looking in on this, but a lot of this campaign uses the multiplayer maps and just tries to stitch together levels out of it, and
that's very weird.
Well, it's rushed. They just had no time, so like it's held together by spit and duct tape. It seems.
Yeah, this was a wild story when I heard it, and I'm just like, it's one that you believe. Do we know for sure if this is the case? No, I do trust Jason Schreier a lot of the times. And it's something that just seems very believable to me. And when I heard it, I'm like, oh, dude, I can't wait for the future. It's a future we probably won't see until at least 2025. But still, it's like, let's get in there. Let's get in and talk with them.
It's a conundrum because this game's still going to sell. Like, And if
Yeah.
they were to do the same thing
It
again
is.
next
It
year,
is selling.
Yeah, if they were to do the same thing next year, it's still gonna sell. Like, so in a way, they're rewarded for this crappiness. And I don't know, but that also
The
is
big part of it though is that like how people chewed out Redfall.
right.
You know,
I was gonna say
what that became, and feels like literally like this kind of taught us how important being a first party thing is now.
Sure.
So if this happens again under them, ooh.
Yeah,
Not good.
You put a stain on Game Pass, you put a stain on Xbox if you do too many of these. And like,
now the problem though is that I think that they don't have enough time, because I think there is one other one in development, and they can't really stop it essentially because they already have like deals with PlayStation and everything. So it's like, it's got to happen. I don't know what they are able to change, but it's like after this next one, I'm hoping after that one, that's when they can fully be like, okay, but they're probably gonna have to take a blow on whatever the next one is.
Sure.
I have a feeling if it happens like this again.
Yeah. I'm hopeful because what I keep going back to is the needs of Activision were not the same as the needs of Xbox. Activision needed to have this every year or they were going to fall apart, which is why they sold the company, honestly. Like, they were starting to
They're a game company. Microsoft's shares aren't impacted by Xbox hugely.
Yeah.
It's hardly at all, if even. Activision shares are.
If they had missed 1 year, which almost happened this year, of releasing a Call of Duty, they were going to fall apart. It was going to be a disaster.
Right.
If Xbox doesn't release a Call of Duty 1 year, fucking there's going to be no notice of it at all. And they got
Microsoft will be like, well, what else are you releasing?
Yeah.
You know?
They got other stuff they can fill the hole with. Not as big as Call of Duty, but hey, Halo's still big and Fable's still big and all the Bethesda stuff's still big. So, I mean, they can plug the hole with other stuff in a way that Activision could not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I hope it changes. I know there's been a lot of fight online about that because, it is just saying, hey, they make a lot of money. Are they really going to piss that away? Well, I kind of hope they do, honestly.
Isn't that crazy, though, to think about, though? Yeah. They try to make an entire game in 16 months.
In an era where games are just getting longer and longer to make.
Yeah. Now, granted, they probably had, like, all hands on deck for it, as they do. They probably had, like, freaking 7 or 8 studios working on it, so there's that. But still, that's, like, one of the fastest turnarounds I've ever heard for a AAA game.
It's impressive that this thing, even if it's bad, it's impressive that it happened. And, like...
Yeah.
Yep.
Speaking of Xbox, actually we got a couple Xbox stories here. The Series S has raised prices in Brazil by 40%, almost $200 in, translated to American dollars, and it now matches the PS5 digital. And I kind of wanted to broaden this out and just say that from what the people I talk to, my friends, my Twitter friends and stuff across the world, Xbox seems to do a real shitty job in every country except the US and the UK. They seem to do a terrible job translating their games. A lot of people say it's just kind of AI. Well, some languages they don't do translation at all. They just say play it in English, suck it down. And ones that they do, a lot of times it's bad translation that's apparently done by AI. Ooh. And there's apparently no marketing in countries outside of the US and UK. And like, if they want to be a global company, which I mean they are, but like if they want to expand more, they got to button this shit up. And this price increase, like there was, as far as I know, they still haven't given an explanation, a comments, nothing. It's just like, here it is, and choke it down.
I'm not an expert in Brazilian economics.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Well, I'm not either, of course. But the Series X didn't go up, and the PS5 didn't go up at this time. Yeah. So like that's just so weird.
I don't know.
What, do you have any thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, my only thought about it is just, as you said, like why do that in Brazil? But maybe there's something about economics there. Yeah. But also, the other thing that's floating in my head is I'm like, I heard this story, but I thought somebody said that they corrected course. But I'm literally looking into it right now, and I'm not seeing anything.
It seemed like they were going to, and then that got retracted. So, yeah, I know. So yeah, the price did end up going up, even though it seemed like it was. There was a couple days there it was wishy-washy. It was going back and forth, but then in the end, the price did go up, which is just a bummer. Brazil is actually their third biggest country, behind U.S. and U.K. Just nuts. They I don't know. I believe Phil and Sarah are actually going down there for a fan convention too. I expect they will not get great reception.
Oh no!
Yeah, I know.
Oh, they're security.
Yeah.
Xbox also made a team up with an AI company called InWorld, and they specifically mentioned in this thing writing in it, which raises some red flags for me. There are areas that I think AI tools can be useful, I think. And I mean, look, I've never developed a game, so I'm talking on my ass on a lot of this. But for a lot of I don't want to say that this other stuff isn't creative, but for some of the but for writing and arts and things like that, essentially what AI is doing is scouring the internet and compiling different pieces. And that feels gross to me.
It's not going to create a better product either.
Yeah.
It's just going to create something that's not coherent. Like, it doesn't matter how sophisticated AI gets, it's not going to have the humanity behind it. It's just going to be like, congratulations, you wrote a story that could make sense eventually, but like it doesn't really have what people go to the written word for, you know?
Right.
And I think the more useful tool, because I heard about the story and I don't remember looking into it. Again, wording is so important with a lot of things, and and I thought of like the Zelda thing too earlier, and I just kept hearing everybody say live action. I'm like, I don't remember reading that in the post, but everybody's saying it, so I think they did. And it's like, this is one of those cases where it's like, I don't remember seeing the word writing, but everybody's saying it, so it probably is. But that's key because the scripting, to me, AI could be so useful. There was this whole debate about like when everybody saw this, they're like, "Oh, this is going to ruin games and get rid of jobs." And again, I kind of am at the edge of potentially bigger topics, but but to me, if they partner with them and just use it as a tool to test out bugs, to program scripting, to find sources on things, to potentially create a baseline for something that they can modify, and these ways of saving time, that's awesome. And if they use a tool like that, I think that's great. Like you guys said, though, if it's like, for like voices or writing, those very artistic elements, that's where it'll be kind of sketchy if they do. But if they use it, we're in this day and age that it takes like 4 or 5 years now to develop a game instead of the 2 or 3 it used to take. And I think AI could be the tool to make it go faster. Wait, people lose their jobs then? Well, they'll just be able to produce 3 games every 10 years instead of 2. And that will sell more copies, which is what the publisher would want. So technically, it actually funds their games more. I don't know. That's a perspective, though. But
I can read from The Verge here. Directly what they say here is, the multi-platform AI toolset will include the AI design co-pilot for scripts and dialogue, and an AI character engine that can be integrated into games and used to dynamically generate stories, quests, and dialogue.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just say the scripts part, they don't mean like writing scripts. They mean the scripts for the game, which is totally different. Exactly. That's totally different. The only part of that to me that was the creative part is just the characters and the NPCs, which sometimes I'm actually kind of cool with that. Because sometimes I'm like, I want these NPCs to talk to me, even if it's something stupid. I kind of want to be able to just talk with any of them. But then some of them are obviously the key ones that the developers wrote. But
the first thing that comes to mind when I saw this is Elder Scrolls. To fill out dialogue for all those characters out there.
It's a lot of writing, but like at the same time, you do lose the sort of human element. Because there's all this debate in like movies, like AI and stuff. It's like movies, it doesn't work. You could potentially have an AI for like grammar and stuff like that, I guess. But like, you're never going to replace an actor with a robot. It's never going to work. Like,
Yeah. Well, that's why movies had to strike, and
exactly.
And video games are mostly ununionized, so they're not able to do that at the moment. Although that seems to be rapidly shifting. Hopefully, these unions that are popping up will at least be able to have some guidelines to use this stuff morally and efficiently.
Yeah, exactly.
There's something else I was going to mention about that, and I lost it. Oh, I did. Kind of when this broke, I was trying to, I don't know, find my position, because I think of stuff like, what's the word? Procedural generation. And I think of, even if you want to go back as far as like, you remember the AI director in Left 4 Dead, how it would place enemies map? I think, okay, isn't that just kind of a primitive form of AI? Where is the line exactly?
Yeah. Yep.
And kind of, I think where I'm ending up on it is when it is AI that is, like I said, scouring the internet to compile other people's work without their permission. That's where I start to feel a little gross about it.
Yep. When it's a tool set, it's fine. I have no problem with it. Like, I've like the example I saw was like there's like an AI tool set that generates trees in games.
Yeah.
Like, so that saves a ton of time. Like, that stuff I'm fine with. It's just more like, when you start talking about, we're going to write an entire game with an AI like ChatGPT, where I'm like, this is
the AI will create the side quests.
Yeah, that's where I'm like, that's just too much. It's not going to work.
It also does sound like Microsoft saying, no studios have to use this. We're not requiring it. If any studio doesn't want to, they can.
Yeah.
I mean, having it's a good idea. Like, I understand why they bought it. It's just like, I look at that, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Sony's, they had 12 live service games planned before the end of fiscal year 2025. 6 of those have been delayed. Are they? So, okay, these games aren't canceled. They're just only delayed. But are they veering off that live service course a little bit? And, Jim Ryan's leaving. Like,
I think they're going for less of a shotgun approach and more of a like, let's release these 6 and see how it goes for the other ones.
I agree. Yep.
And just put more care into them, hopefully.
Yep.
They just want to spread it out a bit better, hopefully.
The ones they've shown so far, I think, have not been well received, except for maybe Marathon. Although even Marathon, I think, kind of, the layoffs at Bungie kind of reverse course on that. Even. Yeah. I'm looking forward to Twisted Metal, which has not been officially revealed, but we've heard that it's being worked on. Anyway. Dragon's Dogma 2, its release date is leaked. It is March. We thought that there was the story before about how Capcom had a big game planned for Q1 that they thought was going to sell millions. We all thought it was Monster Hunter. Turns out, no, it's Dragon's Dogma 2, at least if this leak is to be believed. Hunter, you're a Dragon's Dogma guy, right?
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm going to play the shit out of this. Yeah, hey, if it's Q1,
This is a lock for the Game Awards, right, Keeps?
I'm not sure.
Actually,
I don't know.
I take that back. They say they're doing their own stream. I actually forgot about that. So never mind. They're doing their own stream in a couple days.
There's something about that doesn't feel like a Game Awards thing to me, and that's all I was going to say.
Honestly, I think that there is a lot of hype for that game, so it does make sense to me to have their own, like, hey, this is what's going on with this game. Like,
I feel it was the first one was a cult favorite that they're now trying to elevate. I think they want to make this a much bigger deal than the previous one.
And I don't think it's that crazy that they could do it. Honestly.
It looks really cool.
Yeah.
Lamplighters League was a Game Pass game that unfortunately flopped. And the entire budget was written off by Paradox, and Harebrained Schemes is a developer. They laid off 80% of their staff actually before development was done, apparently like in the final months of this game, which is why it sounds like it was buggy as hell, and it still is buggy as hell. And they even announced that they are leaving Paradox at the end of this year. This is sad because they're another one like Me Games that they are a special developer to me. They make tactics games, and they made the Shadowrun trilogy, and they made BattleTech, which were very good because their roots lie with They are ex-Microsoft people, especially the founder, although he's gone now. But when he founded the studio, he left FASA, which made Shadowrun for 360, the shooter, and they made Crimson Skies and shit. He left, started Harebrained Schemes. And so that's why they got to work with BattleTech and they got to work with Shadowrun again. And yeah, it's I feel like we might be on the last legs of that studio, and that is really sad.
It is very sad.
Because the game apparently reviewed really well. Just when it's working, it's great. Buggy as hell, though. Final thing, and then we'll let you go. Snoop Dogg and his son are starting their own game studio called Death Row Games.
Snoop Dogg gave up smoke and started video games.
That's the next best vice, I guess. A lot healthier for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope they get some good talent. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. There's nothing to say. I just think it's a funny thing.
Yeah.
Who knows? Like, it makes me think of, hey, remember Kurt Schilling's studio? That didn't go too well.
Oh, yeah. Right.
So,
yeah.
Who knows? Hey, but Vin Diesel has a studio that went well for at least a while. I don't know.
For sure.
Who knows?
I think they're still a thing.
Are they?
I think so.
Well, good for them.
I don't know. Yep.
All right, we kept. This was a longer episode than I planned on, but we had a lot to catch up on, and we had a guest here. Keebs, thanks so much for coming on. Really, really appreciate it. Tell people again.
All good, dude.
Yeah. What's your channel, and where can they find you?
You can find me at SamuraiKibiji for Mr. Kibiji. Yeah, it's been good to be on, just to talk games with you guys, and if you want to talk with me more, because I just, again, game speculation, more specifically speculating about things that you're passionate about, and for me that's video games, is the best form of self-expression to me. So if you want to do that more with me and to tell me your opinions on things, then you can head over to my Twitter or YouTube. Those are my two spots I'm most active, but I'm pretty much everywhere. So yeah, and I'll definitely be having more thoughts on the Game Awards as it happens, and we're almost to the end of the year. It's almost over. 2023 is almost over.
It is, and it came fast. But yeah, I hope people do check out your channel. I really enjoy it. You don't get into console war silliness.
No.
You're a level-headed, positive guy, and I enjoy your channel, and I hope everyone else checks it out. Hunter, you got Cometh Club, other things coming?
So Cometh Club is coming. I keep running into obstacles, getting back up and running. Phantom Zone is on hiatus right now, but I think we'll be back by the end of the year, hopefully.
Good.
I've really missed doing that show and all the horrible things we say into mics. Yeah. Other than that, I'm going to be streaming a lot more in the next coming months, so that'll be exciting.
And like I said, we're going to have trouble scheduling podcasts now just because my day job put me back on a swing shift. Whatever, I won't get into too much of that, but we're still going to come out whenever we can, basically, and we're going to try to get as many episodes as we can, and I will still be streaming here on Freshly Stream Games on YouTube. Until next time, thanks for stopping by, I guess. I don't have a good closing line, but whatever. Goodbye.
Bye.